Alright, so as you can see, I'm about to proc 70 in retail. Slash played on this is way too fucking long. A lot of that is AFK time. You can see this. Probably about a third of that's AFK time. You could definitely get to 70 in less than a day if you know what you're doing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Also, I like sat through every cutscene, went back and basically did Wall of the Adrenal, Battle of Azeroth, Shadowlands. Did a bunch of the old expansions, like lore quest lines along the way. And yeah, so we're gonna hit 70 in this. I was
to see them return.
Whoa, thought I was gonna ding.
The Kirin Tor welcomes.
We just need to hold them off a little longer. Caligo should be here soon.
Once I ding, I've got enough honor to get all my honor gear. Also, I've just spent a lot of time.
Take those drakes down.
Alright. I don't have keys for these. I do have keys for these. Yeah, so it's been a bit of an adventure, and I thought I'd actually log on and show what's been going on, because basically my classic server is pretty dead. My guild is
Primalists are coming.
not doing. We did a raid.
Defensive positions.
Which I recorded. Trial of Free Crusader. We're gonna do ICC.
I must return to the archives. Send help when you can. The Azure Oathstone is proving difficult to reclaim.
I need to fend off the Primalists to the east. It may fall on you to aid Caligos' adventure.
And here we are. We're gonna ding.
Good day to you.
Knock on.
How are you, traveler?
Bang. Oh, 8% upgrade. That's nice. Just kidding. Dungeon unlocked. Okay, for sure.
The Kirin Tor stands with Caligos. Dawn will handle what remains of the Primalists to the east. I'm counting on you to aid Caligos' adventure.
Got our final talent point. We're gonna get Shadow Dance. I need an X.
The time for the World Tree to bloom draws near, and our enemies are gathering in the Emerald Dream. Come.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on.
My friends, let's go over these changes. Let's see what is coming with patch 10.2.5. We're waiting for the servers to come up right now. and I think this is a perfect opportunity to go over these patch notes and see exactly what we're getting ourselves into, because I suspect many of you, like me, don't know. I know that there's like some preservation evoker changes. I know that we're gonna be able to like dragon ride everywhere, but for the most part, I don't know exactly what's going on. So here's a post by Blizzard with the official 10.2.5 patch notes and everything it has to offer. Okay, let's go over it really quick. Discovered the buried history of Azeroth and the Dragon Isles through the Azerothian Archives public event. So some new public events. Explore Belemeth, a burgeoning new zone offering hope to Kaldurai. Take dragon riding to the skies of Old World continents. Storm Dragonflight dungeons alongside NPC companions. Complete new campaign chapters in the continuation of the Dragon Isle epilogues and more. I think this is an interesting one. New campaign chapter.
Probably for that.
Doing dungeons with NPCs. I think this is supposed to be something people can do to kind of like learn their role a little bit, right? Like, if you want to pick up healing in dungeons or just in general, it gives you an opportunity to use your spells and blah blah blah, or DPS or tanks. I think it's. I actually like the idea. So Belemeth, I don't know what this is. So there's a new zone, I guess. Belemeth, the arms of the goddess, rest beneath the new world tree. Amir Dashil, bows, and is a place for the Kaldurai to seek much needed repose and solace. The new Night Elf settlement lies adjacent to the Onaran Plains in the Dragon Isles. Okay, cool, new zone. I'm excited to check it out. Dragon Ride available worldwide. The skies of Azeroth and beyond can be yours in the saddle of your dragon. In Dragonflight, Seeds of Renewal, dragon riding will expand to all old world continents wherever flying is available. I like that. What do you guys think about that? Are you guys happy that they're adding this? I feel like there's no reason not to, as long as you can do both, right?
Oh,
I think it's
wow.
like you can choose to dragon ride if you like it, and you can choose to. I think it's great. So I'm happy about this change. I think just being able to pick the one you like. You like the old flying, you like the new flying. Great. They might as well, right? Like, I think overall dragon riding has been a pretty big success for them, so adding that is good. Azerothian Archives. Discover the history of the Dragon Isles and meet a unique cast of characters. Hear stories of old and witness the iconography. Sorry, I can't read good. I need Derek Zoolander school. Iconography of a time before. Participate in solo and group activities within Trader's Rest with a weekly public event. Plenty of opportunities to explore and earn rewards like battle pets, mounts, and a transmog set. Cool. Reclaiming Gilneas. King Greymane is ready to retake his kingdom, but Gilneas isn't as empty as expected. Help reclaim what was lost.
Best goods in the Isles.
Alright.
What the fuck is this?
You'll find nothing better in the Isles.
I feel like this is like a based off some of the things that are coming. What are the things that are coming for next expansion? So I think this is probably like a test run for Delves for them, maybe in a way. All dungeons are available for all 8 of the original Dragonflight dungeons are so we'll plus up with any follow the dungeon. Once entering the dungeon, a follower NPC will join the party to fill the
the tunic leather vest.
That's kind of cool. Easy fill for these dungeons. I wonder if that'll be a good thing for leveling. Outland Cup. Oh god, I've never done these. I think I might actually try to do that this
Haze
time.
dress.
Because I kind of like this night riding. I think I'm going to try it. I think I'm actually going to do this. On the 18th of January to the 31st of January, go through the Outland Skies with the Dragon Rider Racing event at Outland Cup. Counts 13 races across Outland in normal advance and riders Azeroth badges to exchange for rewards. Complete all the Outland Cup races on gold to earn the achievement Outland Racing Completionist Gold Outland Racer title. Ruby Riders of Azeroth Tower. Deval Dragon the Lord Andastraz near the Rostrum of Quest. I'm gonna do this. This is perfect for like between queues. This will be what I work on. Well, I'm in my souls of a kid. New rewards are available for purchase from the Ladders of Azeroth badges, Drake Racer Scarf,
Christmas.
Drake Racer Scarf. Okay, so cool rewards. Yeah, cool. That'll be nice.
Asus.
Get creative with your friends. 5 new hair colors for trolls and 1 new skin tone for Draenei. Unique customizations for Warlock.
Asus. Christmas.
Look at that. We got new hair colors for the trolls, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a troll, get hype. Players who have previously completed this will be granted the static, gleaming sun, and moonlit transforming sets when they go next log in. Anyone who completes it going forward will get all 3 sets immediately.
Christmas.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now we have some of the class changes. Let's do this. Characters, Drakthir. New passive ability, Enduring, Empowered Soaring. Soar is now equivalent to Dragon Riding, granting access to Vigor and all Dragon Riding ability. What? Wait, what? So Drakthir can just Dragon Ride now? Soar's cooldown is reduced to 10 seconds. What the heck? You're just a dragon. That's kind of cool. Soar Dragon Riding will become available after learning Dragon Riding account. Familiar Scaz racial has been removed. Yeah. I feel like that's actually badass. I like that. Anyone that doesn't like this is just jealous of the Drakthir. You know what I'm saying? That's perfect. Now that evokers are OP. Alright, so we'll actually get into some of the classes.
Finally.
For a lot of you guys. Multiple class talents that were previously Shadowlands Covenant's abilities, such as Convoking Spirits, Divine Pull, and Sexes. Have your spell visual updated to match their class visual effects.
What is the literal difference between these?
Do you guys have the video of the new ones? If anyone has the video of the new ones, I'll show it on screen. So for Demon Hunters, we got a is now Chaos Damage. Is now Chaos Damage. Evokers, Swords of Magic now after 1 hour. I'll show some of these off in a second. Preservation of Evokers. Okay, Essence Burst, a now trigger for the cast of Reversion, which is very strong. So the main way you heal on an Evoker, if you don't know, is Reversion. It's like your main heal over time effect outside of Dream Breath, and also like it'll heal more based on how much burst someone takes. But now this will actually grant you Essence Burst, which means you'll be able to echo it more often, which is huge. But as a result, they made the mana cost of most spells increased. So even though you're getting an Essence Burst more often, but they did make slightly less mana efficient. If they didn't do this, it would be completely ridiculous. And then Grace Period also got buffed, which is massive. So if you have an Echo Reversion, there's 2 reversions, right? And that increases all your healing on them by 20%. Times 2. So it's 40% more healing, which is this is the biggest buff. So now when you have 2 reversions on someone, they get 40%. It's actually more than that. It's actually more than that. But yeah, that's crazy. That's a huge buff. Timeless Magic now only affects Temporal Anomaly and reduces the mana cost of reversion. Temporal Anomaly, Echo, and Time Dilation by 10-20%. Was just very Preservation is going to be super strong. Mage, this is a big nerf. This is actually a fat nerf. So Shifting Power is now arcane damage. It used to be nature. So it used to be like, as of yesterday, if I got kicked on Polymorph, I could Shifting Power. And if I got kicked on Shifting Power, I could Polymorph or do my damage. Now, getting kicked on Shifting Power is really fucking bad. So if you're a mage, you gotta like really, really protect it. Because if you get kicked, it means you can't shimmer. It means you can't counterspell. It means you can't do anything if you're arcane. So tough break, but yeah. Big nerf. Monk, Mistweaver, Dance of the Wind has been redesigned. Your dodge chance is increased by 10%. I don't really like this, just passive extra dodge. But whatever. That's been done. Ancient Teachings now additionally increases stamina while active. Okay. Teachings of the Monastery now highlights Black Kick on the action bar when it reaches max stacks. Then Focus Tea now additionally has additional functionality with Expel Harm, causing it to transfer 5% more healing to damage and create a chi cocoon on yourself. Interesting. Tia Plenty now has the possibility to grant Expel Harm and Enveloping Mist instead of Essence Font and Renewing Mist. Secret Infusion now additionally has additional functionality with Expel Harm and grants utility. That's really good, actually. If you're being
no, this is bad.
Phalanx rename, okay. Awakened Phalanx rename, perfect. Windwalker, okay, there's the same thing. Phalanx Stomp has been renamed. Naming changes for the new ability. Oh, the new visual on the ability. Rogue, Echo Reprimand changes to physical damage, was arcane, and damage increased. So, this is a buff against casters, I think.
Okay, so I need to
So
totally
this
reset my
Echo
fucking
Reprimand change is a buff against low armor
thing
targets.
with
And it
Shadow
should probably be
Dance.
about neutral on higher armor targets. Something like
Because
that. Okay, Shaman, Earth Elemental, Fire Elemental, and Storm Elemental now have a reduced size at instances for the Shaman's allies and enemies. For the Shaman, the Elementals still appear large. Okay. Warrior's
it's
Spear
gonna
Bash
be
has
like,
been renamed,
it's gonna have my
Piercing Tree
stealth
has been
bar.
renamed, Piercing Verdict has been renamed. Okay. So a bunch of just renaming conventions. There's
Well,
essentially
yeah,
no
you'll have to
PvP
reset
updates, which is kind of crazy. So the Catalyst, you get charges every week now. I don't know why that matters at this point, but okay. Cleverest Player, Shaman, Enhancement Shamans, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning triggered by Thorm's Invocation now deal 30% reduced damage. Thorm's Invocation now increases the damage of Lightning Bolt and Chain Waterhouse now. Yeah, what? How do you get because it could be really toxic. Oh, those are the damage. I don't know if I'll pick that, to be honest with you. I actually don't think people will pick that, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'd be surprised. So, Pure Warrior, Quality of Life, Analog Class, and that's about it. Alright, so the actual balance changes are next to nothing. The only notable buffs, in my opinion, are Mistweaver and Preservation. I think out of all the specs in the entire game, Preservation hit the lottery. So, it's big buffs. If you guys like Preservation, congratulations. You can fly across the whole world now, and also, you're getting some major healing buffs. So if you guys want to check out the new animations, we can do that too. So let me show you guys Adaptive Storm really quick.
rough.
It looks like a bunch of... Oh, that's the new one. Kind of looks cool. I like it. That was the old one. We got the old Convoke the Spirits. This is the old Convoke the Spirits. Let's see the new one. The new Convoke the Spirits. That looks cool. I think that's an upgrade. I like it. So far, both are upgrades. Let's see Death Chakram. Same for me. Don't care. Primordial Wave, old. Primordial Wave, new. Looks cool. Radiant Spark, new. I think the new Radiant Spark is cool. I think Sex is old shifting power. That's it. Massive nerf for Ocean Warlocks. Sorry. Sorry, Warlock. But yeah, that's basically... I love it from the beginning. He changes... I got linked this video and asked to react to it, so we're gonna do that. It's called Gain Rating the Easy Way. Every spec. This is a new video from Skillcapped, and we're gonna watch it.
There's new data proving it's actually not fixing.
want to say it's Conflag. Maybe it's Fear? Let's see.
Arena. It's Chaos Bolt, right? No, it's actually immolate.
Yep.
But here's
I knew it would be something like that.
Get interesting. The data also calculated how much
Interesting.
Frost Decay and Sub-Rogue lowest. But then there is Demon Hunter, sticking out like this. Why is it less important to do big damage on a Demon Hunter? Don't they do the most damage in the game? Today, we will answer this question and explain what all this means. I'll also give
I feel like the reason why that might be for Demon Hunter is it is easy on a Demon Hunter to just attack everything. What matters for a Demon Hunter more is doing your damage at the right time. Like getting your instant CC and then attacking something at that exact, like, you know, putting all your damage out at the right moment is more impactful than just getting out damage on everything.
use some tips on how to increase your damage or healing right now. First up, let's go over the most important findings from the research. As we mentioned, there is a positive correlation between throughput and high sustained DPS specs have the highest correlation, with Frost DKs and sub-rogues actually being since these specs are just
Jesus, alright.
they see less benefit from trying to max out their sustained throughput. And once again, healers see the biggest gains overall. If you can do more healing, you will win more games. But this comes with an obvious question. How do you increase your damage or healing if you're already spamming your buttons? The data also shows how closely each spell correlates with rating gains.
Oh, I
Some
can't beat
players
that
might
guy.
actually have the wrong ideas
Yeah, try and beat him.
about spells
Try
that
again.
don't matter. Let's
Interesting.
think about an experience we've all had. Could be doing smart. For Destro Warlocks, we have the highest coefficient.
Need to get closer.
Which means
That's really interesting. This is like this kind of data to me is really interesting.
isn't Chaos Bolt the reason why Warlocks win games? I mean, look at this data. It's way higher than Immolate. But here's the truth. Sometimes the most important spell in your toolkit isn't the one that deals the most damage. Immolate has a bunch of downstream benefits, like increased haste, damage modifier on other spells, and now with the Season 3 tier set, Immolate techs can even reset the cooldown of additional risk, which are a massive source of additional damage. Neglecting Immolate is losing out on benefits. Here's a log from a 1400 Destro Warlock. As you can see, Chaos Bolt was
Dude, this is what I was talking about. Wait, sorry to keep pausing, but this is what I was talking about with Frost Mage and Glacial Spike. I've realized, as a Frost Mage and as a Frost Mage is playing Glacial, the biggest trap people fall into is trying to Glacial all game. Like I've been able to Glacial once the entire game, maybe once or none. But people think that using or Blizzard and Lance, Flurry, like those matter way more than getting big Glacials up.
casting it almost twice. Shouldn't be
This is a really good video.
But it's not just Destro Warlocks that are making remember, the overall trade is still the same. No matter what spec you play, you will gain more rating by just being better and more efficient at doing damage. This is why healers see the biggest gains from simply doing more healing.
Yep.
With 4 out of the 5 highest throughput to MMR correlations belonging to healer specs. If you spend any time on the forum, on Twitter, or on YouTube, you've probably
This is actually this is something that I talked about a lot. Literally heal as much as you can. Healing so important. And it's no wonder that solo shuffle queue times take forever, but there is a silver lining. For
I know I'm just running into this guy again and again, and he's just like regenerating. But
Interesting.
I'm just trying to get my rotation
where Life Bloom and Grove
a little
Guardians
bit
are the
better.
biggest drivers behind rating games. What this means is that healing is less about big reactive heals and more about routine maintenance. This is why healing might seem so hard for some players. Instead of planning ahead and ramping up their healing output in advance, they instead wait for damage to happen before pressing their heal. That's how high now,
Closer.
some players are working harder than they need to while doing damage. More often than not, doing bigger numbers is making the most of the rotational abilities. So if you can simply stick to a few damage or healing goals, you're already doing most of the work needed to win. This is why we start our damage and healing goals.
Oh, nice.
Once you know where your main sources
I
of
need to
damage
check
come
these
from,
out.
you can make the most out of the game-winning burst sequences, and learn the min-maxing tips that are actually being used by the world's highest-rated players. The key to quick and easy rating gains could just be a few quick
I'm curious about this one.
On the extreme end is Sniper Shot. If you play Mark's Hunter, this might be high impact, but in reality could actually be harmful. It is one of the few spells that actually has a negative correlation.
Oh my god.
You will less often Sniper Shot. And this makes perfect sense because the ability becomes insanely clunky against better players. With a baseline 3-second cast time, it will be hard to land in lobbies where players are more likely to line your cast in time. On top of this, Sniper Shot takes up a big piece level, which means you either need to give up damage reduction, extra CC, or even CDR if you want to play a gimmicky ability that has an easy counter. There were also negative correlations between spells you might not expect, like Shadow Strike for sub-rogues, which, just like Sniper Shot, is used less often by higher-rated players.
Oh my
But
god.
Unlike Sniper Shot, Shadow Strike is a pretty standard ability that most rogues will use multiple times per game. But if you know anything about sub-rogue damage, in fact, if a rogue during damage, either means rounds or they might have messed up. Either by not cheating a gap, or even worse, seeing less returns overall when it comes to dealing damage. So what does this mean for these two specs? Why isn't doing damage leading to more rating gains? If we had to guess, it's that dealing damage with Human Hunter is pretty straightforward.
It's like, yeah, bro. We know.
It's safely tell them that they're not that special.
Am I dead boss? No. I did like the no.
Feral druids are in a similar boat. Many players make the mistake of thinking
Alright, this guy.
The best feral druids are multi-dotting all game. But if we look at the biggest differences between high-rated and low-rated ferals, two spells that stand out are the Feral Frenzy and Maim. Higher rated Feral Druids are using Frenzy more often because they're landing more Cyclones, which gives them Feral Frenzy procs for free, making it a bigger driver behind their overall damage. And since Mayhem has a high coefficient, we can also guess that these same Druids are also being more aggressive with other parts of their CC kit. So if we go back to our original correlations, we can draw some conclusions. If your spec is towards the right side of this graph, it's safe to say most of your hits will come from increasing your throughput.
Okay, I need to fix my fucking bar.
That's interesting. So, what are the specs that correlate the least with damage are Frost Death Knight, Feral Sub, Og, Demon Hunter, Survival Hunter, Windwalker, Frost Mage, Demonology Warlock, and Arcane Mage. Okay.
For everyone else, aim for a healthy balance. Getting more efficient at dealing damage will always be in combination with good offensive play and CC, the sky's the limit for anyone. At this point, you might be wondering how it's possible to effectively increase your damage output, even if you feel like your damage is good enough. While every spec in WoW has different damage or healing profiles, there are some universal rules everyone should follow. Everyone should aim to minimize dead globals. A dead global refers to the time where you press an ability otherwise don't, and this problem affects all roles. Melee tend to have dead globals when they're getting guided. They select a target and then try to stick to it all game, even when there are opportunities to attack something else. By doing so, they leave a ton of damage on the table and fail to build free momentum. When you watch high-rated players like Joe Fernandez, he might rage while getting kited, but uses every moment he can to squeeze out extra DPS on any off targets, which even includes pets and totems. Ranged DPS have the opposite problem, and their dead globos are generally caused by movement. Think about it. If you think your damage is amazing on a dummy, you're probably let down every time you enter Arena, where people don't stand still all game and instead bully you with interrupts and CC. But what's crucial during these moments of frustration is to do everything you can to press an ability every global. Cycling through spell schools while interrupted, or even weaving an instant cast spells while you juke. In many ways, healers are the same as casters, but with a bit more nuance. Healers should try and increase their GCD usage too, but since mana can become an issue, they should find other ways to maximize their actions per minute. This could be as simple as repositioning to a pillar to avoid CC, or even assisting with damage spells, which are virtually free for all healing specs.
Oh my god! Whoa! That was insane! Wait.
Virtually free for all.
Look at that damage! What the frick? This did like 200k burst.
And remember that healing and Dragonflight requires you to be proactive. You can't just sit and wait for damage to happen and then expect to heal through. Instead, you either need to heal actively or landing healing in advance so that you aren't being overwhelmed. Another almost universal damage rule is to avoid overcommitting. This applies to almost every single damage healer in some capacity and is a really easy mistake to avoid. If you play Warrior, there will be moments where you will be at or near your rage cap. And whenever this happens, your goal should be to dump rage however you can, making sure you're doing a good job keeping up more pain on yourself or dumping even more rage on the ground. By overcapping, you're wasting potential damage or survival rate. Other DPS specs have more complicated secondary resources, but the same rule applies. Any soul shards you generate above the cap will always be wasted, so instead it's better to keep spending whenever possible. Even if you don't have a rage bar or soul shards, chances are you have some resource or buff that
that's me on the Rep Paladin right now.
Capped. And it's important to make sure you are not leaving damage on the table by increasing the amount of resource dumps you do throughout each game. Before we wrap up, we want to give a huge shout out to Artmeister for compiling all this data.
Yeah,
and we highly
big
suggest
shout
you
out
check out the thread for yourself. Also, we want to give another huge shout out to WoW Arena Logs, which is an amazing tool for recording data of all of your games. You can even see an interesting looking replay of each match, which is useful if you can't record your own gameplay.
What the frick? Never heard of this before. Round 1 of rated solo shuffle. It literally shows like little characters running around the map. Is this real?
Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skillcapped. So we offer a 400 rating guarantee and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of WoW PvP guides on the internet. With over 1,200 guides curated into over 300 courses across every class, no one can compare. We also have a growing library of over 1,600 arena commentaries where Rank 1 pros and AWC champions teach you how to play your toughest matchups. And if that wasn't enough, Skillcap members can also join the premium section of our Discord server where they gain direct contact to our network of pro players. This feature has helped players just like you reach their rating goals. So if you are serious about improving and want to start seeing immediate results just like these ones, sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month. As always though, we want to thank you all for watching. See you soon.
Cool video. Really cool video. I wonder, sorry, I'm going to click that away. Do they have the link to the... So first of all, yeah, shout out to SkillCap guys. You should definitely go check out their channel. Sub to them. And then also, I wanted to look... Does he have a post to the Reddit? I don't have a post to the link. Interesting. Okay. Lico got it. Okay, so this is the original post. Does your vote really matter in Shuffle, WoW, Arena Log analysis? Yeah, really cool. I like the way SkillCap did that video, though. Kind of went into it and gave a good explanation. And yeah, it's a concept, like I said, I was talking about yesterday on my Frost Mage. It was like sometimes I get in this situation where I feel tricked into like because I try to overuse it, but you use that as like something you know for sure you can use it. When you prioritize things like that, you're confident, crossbomb, more damage, and I find you guys more. Like to mention 1,500 damage, 1,400, 2,200 is the same. Yeah, it's like that for Windwalker, but it makes a lot of sense to me, right? Like, on some classes, it's not hard to do damage. Like, it really is not hard to pump on a Windwalker monk. But what is hard, or the trickier part, I should say, is knowing when to weave in and out of the fight. Like, oh shit, I'm in trouble, I'm gonna tied out. I'm gonna wait 10 seconds for Karma, okay, porting back in, and now I can get really aggressive. I have Karma to trade, I'm not gonna die, or like, you know, things like that. Keeping yourself alive and go down at the right time, that's gonna matter a lot more than just maximum pump. That's cool. Really cool video. Here we go. We got a big post here by Kenny Voker. Alright guys, it's story time. Kenny Voker says, we are barely 4 weeks through the season and are already experiencing the same issues and worse that were present in Season 2. I will do my best to be concise on the most pressing issues. Wild, class, and balance. Despite there being too many,
You'll find no better in this city.
Outliers that are yet to be addressed. At this stage, what spec you are playing matters more than the skill, which is more than your skill. At a baseline, damage seems really high. People, myself included, are dying through cooldowns, and sometimes even while getting spam healed. There could be a benefit here of simply raising health pools again, because it seems like a tall order to find all of the specs and tier sets that are contributing to this. Following the CC change from last season, there are still too many micro CCs in the game that make playing Arena not a fun experience. Often healers are complaining that they can't play the game. Instead of undergoing another massive CC chains, a potential fix could be to increase the cooldown of any CC abilities like roots, stun, kicks that have a 30-second cooldown. These things combined are actually just creating an uproar within the community, which deters players from queuing up, which brings me to my next point. Solo shuffle queue times. 40 minutes seems to be the average wait time no matter what rating you are, which for a game that offers PvP content seems outrageous. For the most popular game mode to be the least accessible is terrible. Feels terrible. I understand changes were made to prevent lower rated healers being put into lobbies with higher rated players, and I agree with that, but the issue is that healers are just not playing because of how much CC is still preventing them from being able to play the game and heal. Shuffle point system. MMR has too much weight on the change of personal rating. Oftentimes, you can go 4-2 and win 0 because of the MMR differential. Not every lobby will be favorable, and even if you play well, you won't get rewarded, which seems flawed. MMR cap and ceiling. With the current system, there seems to be no actual reason to play until later in the season. Being unable to push higher ratings and get rewards at the pace of our choosing feels bad. A solution could be to have the caps way higher, let's say 2,700-ish, with a gradual increase in global for gamers who want to secure their rank 1 titles. Side note, it may be an oversight, but you can't currently queue a skirmish with a cross-faction buddy. Seems strange to be able to do rated cross-faction, but not skirmishes. That's all. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to some more tuning. So I'm going to go through this really quick. There's a blue post under this, okay? So the blues have come. I haven't read it yet, but I'm just going to quickly address this because I've talked about a lot of this stuff. Class imbalance, that's always going to be there. Solo shuffle queue times, obviously a nightmare. Solo shuffle point system for healers. I don't know what they need to do with healers, but luckily it's not my job to figure it out. But what I will say is, when you get into a situation where you have one person who's much higher MMR and one person who's much lower MMR, and they play and they tie, and one person gets to win from that experience and one person gets to massively lose from that experience, or in some cases you even go 4-2, so you actually technically won, but you didn't win enough according to the game, so you lose MMR. And sometimes lose rating, which is crazy, or certainly don't gain rating. I think that is an issue they need to figure out. I don't know how, but they got to do something. And then I literally think they need to just go back to how it was in Season 1 and just make ratings crazy again. Like, I think people should be able to get, like, there should already be gladiators. Like, I'm literally okay with people like Glad too. I swear. I think there needs to be more of a gap between, you know, and, you know, your casual player and then your super casual player. And the only way to do that is to stick an MMR injection into the game. A big, fat, swift MMR injection. So, that's what I think. Now, let's see what Blizzard said. Kyvax. Here we go. Kyvax says, at the beginning of Dragonflight Season 3, we reduced the maximum rating gap healers could have going into a solo shuffle match across all ratings, based on feedback we received. We've seen that this has resulted in longer queue times at higher ratings. To help address this, about a week ago, we increased the rating gap moderately, but only at higher ratings, to preserve matchmaking within the entirety of the ladder. We've been watching the results of changes like that, and will continuing to watch all of these issues very carefully so that we can make surgical changes whenever necessary. Okay? All right. What do you guys' thoughts on that? I actually laughed a little bit. Like, that's a kind of a funny response. He just said he said nothing. I mean, I don't know. They're keeping their cards close to their chest, I guess. But I haven't really noticed any of the surgical changes just yet, personally, but we'll have to wait and see. What I do know is that when I queued Arena today, there was a similar story where we're just fighting rank 1s at 1800 and 1900, which, you know, I don't really mind, but I just think of other people who are just like, you know, just trying to play, and you're literally, can you guys be honest with me? I need some honesty in the chat right now. Like, what was your rating at the end of Season 1 and 2, and what is your rating now? Be honest. Like, for me, what was I? Last season, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably down like 700 rating or something. You were 1900, and now you're 1500. You were 2100, now you're 1600. You were 3000, and now you're 1800. So this guy's down 300 rating. This guy's down 600 rating. This guy's down. This guy was 700, down 500, down 200. That's I feel like this person's experience is worse.
What the fuck, dude?
That's the worst. Well, maybe that's reading too much into it. I don't know. We'll see. But I swear we need more than this. We definitely need more than this. It's definitely tough. I just like, What I don't understand is I genuinely feel like we're literally does that make sense? Like I literally think by keeping ratings so low, you're literally just making it have less fun. Appster says, wow, that was a good post. I'm logging on SOD. Yeah, and while I don't necessarily think that all of the issues in the game get fixed, I 100% don't think all the issues in the game get fixed if you just inject MMR. I also feel like just leaving the ladder the way it is just brutal for the people who are playing the game. Just completely brutal. Check the arena forum post about the issue. The guy basically mirrored your sentiments. Well, is it this one? You can link it to me if you want. We could check it out. Someone says, how can they balance SOD PvP class seating but do nothing on retail? So I do want to say so I would actually argue that people like balancing seasons. Than on retail, where you're having to balance. You're actually like with the way competitive WoW is, and with the way the community is, like they have to figure out a way to balance all the classes, all the DPS classes, which there are way more of. There's way more healers and way more DPS. And they need to find a way to balance them all in Mythic Plus and in raiding, which is different. Mythic Plus, which is different than raiding, which is different than PvP. They have to do that. I think it's more, yeah. All right, sir, we got an urgent call to action for World of Warcraft players addressing Dragonflight PvP challenges. All right, here we go. We'll keep reading. Hello, fellow Azerothians. I'm rallying all World of Warcraft players for a united stand against the growing issues in the Dragonflight expansion, specifically in PvP aspect. Our collective efforts so I need all of you keeping this post in the top channel on the forum. Limited agency. The ineffective MMR system for healers and solo shuffle combined with their limited game impact has significantly reduced the appealing and playing this vital role. MMR design catastrophe. The MMR system in Dragonflight is frankly a comedy of errors. We've seen seasons where MMR peaks at 3,800 and others were near 2,500, making any reliable tracking of skill or gameplay laughably impossible. After Blizzard bungle MMR, maybe I'm having a stroke. The MMR in the first season leads average players to hit between 1,800 and 2,400. It's nonsensical and frankly unentertaining. Remember your name, Blizzard Entertainment, to force players back to 1,400 and 1,600 in subsequent seasons. It's disheartening to play in the early season, battling a low MMR, only to find it more rewarding to play in the months. Yeah, it like, come on, man. How do we not? It just Number one. Number two, if we have inflation, that's fine. Like, it's fine to have inflation and let it get crazy. I don't even care if people get 4,000 rated. I literally don't. But I think at least at the beginning of the season, you have to make it so people want to play. But yeah, good post so far. Let's see. Proposed solution. Revise healer MMR and incentivize the role. Blizzard needs to completely revamp the MMR system for healers and solo shuffle. We propose, a flat plus 500 MMR for all healers. It needs to be easier to achieve targets as a healer. Okay. An inclusive recolored gladiator map for healers exceeding 1,000 rounds played above 2,400 MMR in solo shuffle. All right. A unique ambulance-inspired vendor-like ground mount for those completing 2,000 rounds at any rating within a season. Reward boxes with tendies for the trading post based on the number of rounds played weekly. Significantly reward the free game time for healers during a certain number of rounds. We urge Blizzard to Season 1 MMR. Introduction of customized rewards on better This is our call to arms. I need your support to elevate this post and demand Blizzard's attention. Let's show them the power of our united front. Oh my god. Ultimatum to Blizzard. Oh jeez. Blizzard has 1 month to respond constructively to our concerns. Failure to engage means a blatant disregard of their player base. Let's make our voices heard for the love of World of Warcraft. Together, we can bring about the changes we so desperately need. Who is this? Do we stand with... oh man, I won't even say his name. I'm gonna mess it up. Mavex? Do we stand with Mavex? I agree, nerf rogues. Perfect. I will gladly sign your petition. That was pretty disgusting. I don't know if I completely agree with the rewards, but it's just so obvious something needs to happen. We just want to play, man! How do you sign the petition? I guess you just go like the post? What do we do? How do I sign it? I need to log in. 1 sec. Let me log in real quick. I need to use my authenticator now. Give me 1 second. Momentarily, guys. I just need to open up my authenticator. Please bear with me. Keep in mind, I am in a 25-minute solo shuffle queue right now as this entire thing is going down, so... I'll give this guy like I have an idea for rated social problem solves deflation. Stand in the fire. I don't. It's funny that people don't realize that people actually like rated soul shovel. It's weird. Like I don't know. But anyways. My favorite is this guy makes a 10-paragraph post listing a lot of the issues, and the first response is, "We messed up matchmaking, sorry." Alright man, yeah, I don't know. So it looks like we're not going to get much of an update on these issues we've been talking about. We'll see if they do anything. If you guys want to check out this post, it's called Urgent Call. Actions for World of Warcraft players addressing Dragonflight PvP challenges. So I'll link it to you if you guys want to go check it out. You can go start it if you agree with it, whatever. Maybe if we blow it up, we'll see some changes. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with all the things you're saying, but I do think making more people heal will probably help a lot. Blue post 12 minutes ago? Is there another blue post? Dude, this is a post. What the frick? Look at this post I made. Dude, I've been making posts about PvP for such a long time. Is this from 2017? Damn, bro. I made this post in 2017 about PvP gearing. It has 75,000 views, 2.2k replies, 4,000 likes. Damn, bro. That's a long time ago.
At your service.
As a response? I don't even know. How do I see that? I'm famous on the WoW forums? Not famous. Influencers be the side. Okay, let's go. All the way down to the bottom. To your... Alright. Yeah, they got so disappointed in PvP devs. It's like they don't care about the game anymore. person said. All right.
My wares are always available.
Bloody door just moved? I don't know, probably goes. Something like that.
Oh, my first solo shuffle. That's true. Let's see if we proc it.
Awesome. So, I'm going to give you guys some context to this. Raikou made a post on Twitter. He said the number one solo shuffle in the world, Scripter. He had a conversation with him today, and apparently he's Swedish. He is getting rank 1 on the ladder to increase his sales for the bot that he is selling. He's the author. His name's Pokemon's, Rodcat, Lone Star Healer Creatures, all this guy. Currently the highest rated solo shuffler. So he just gets to the top of the ladder, promotes his bot, sells it, makes money. And Infernion said it says a lot about a class that bots can compete with the best players in the game in terms of rankings, reworking the bot makes respect already. If a bot can play it to 95%
and the
it's
clash
really
of
not
your
designed well. And then I said I've never seen a major walk bot
by
just saying.
the great
And then
Lord,
Raikou links a
and
video
the
of a
fallen will
2600 fire
join
maid.
them
Let's see
in
this.
the
Let's see how this
afterlife.
goes. I'm very curious. Oh my god! Was that altar time circle? It shows you how far away from altar you are? Alright, so one of these lines is being in... So this one is being in line of sight of your healer. I think that's one. The other one is where your altar time is. Where everyone is positioned. We are not casting... Stop charging.
Grant him an honorable death.
Time where it is.
It's too far away. Out of range.
Is this legal? Oh, of course not legal, man! Oh, what is it? Is this bot? They have to move their own characters. The author said he tried to full AFK bot, but it was too obvious. Okay, so they have to move their own characters, but it does everything else for you? That is remarkable. Alright, so I guess I was wrong. I guess we got a mage bot, ladies and gentlemen. Watching the gameplay, dude. Look at this guy. So all he does is his character. Everything else is just possible.
It's too far away.
I see more punishment, like a MAC address ban. Yeah, I could see that. The last 2 days on EU, on probably 2750 3 KMR and Shuffle, there's an Ellie bot, yet not even over-exaggerating 90% of lobbies. It's so unfun to fight that shit, man. Ban Ellie bots? They are. They just make you count. Like, they literally do ban them. Not that it's What do you mean? So you think there's like a guy's owning. He's won 3 games so far. Actually, I'm curious to see how. Raiki says the biggest issues
Time to bring it back, I guess.
the bot wasn't that good, wasn't playing around, wasn't sharing the correct things, but he did listen to the streamers, and now the bot is way more advanced and it's been more perfected. It is very interesting to me that like one person can single-handedly ruin the game. I really wonder if Blizzard tries to like sue this person. You know, they've done stuff like that before with like Hiram, maybe, yeah. Maybe he makes more money selling bots. Who knows? Did you ask him how much money he makes with selling bots? I bet it's a lot. Probably more than Blizzard would pay. This is hard to watch. I'm just trying to understand if but still increases the sales and play. He's getting ranked 110 they just come back. I feel like they need to like ban them and then ban them again, like right away, you know? There has to be like a point where the botters will stop botting. There has to be, right? Like if you're a botter, how many copies of WoW are you really gonna buy? Like if you're getting banned every couple days or every week, are you still gonna play? You know, obviously it's like, it seems like they get like at least weeks, months to play before they get banned. You're assuming it's really easy to justify a botter? Well, I feel like there's a couple red flags. So, do you guys think it would be a red flag for a brand new account that has 0 PvP achievement and then get to the top of the ladder? I feel like that is
and honorable death.
You can't ban for that? Yeah, but they can look into it. There's no way that they can't detect it. I don't believe that. Obviously they can. They don't have support to do that though. That's the issue. I mean, yeah, I don't know all the inner workings of Blizzard, but I feel like this is a priority. I feel like it's at least worth having like a team that just. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. I feel like it's an important issue, but maybe I'm wrong. I work in software and web development, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that Blizz can ban bots near instantly if they wanted to. They calculate when the botter gets an ROI before they ban, so it's always worth it to buy another account. Most players don't quit because of it. They have made a business case to allow bots. You don't want them to discover a laughable move that you know the bot detection software. So, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but if that is true,
You did not have Deloa's blessing this
although I feel like this is a semi... I'm not gonna lie, this is a semi-free lobby for a fire mage, so... This video is good promotion, of course, but this is an easy mode lobby for a fire mage. I want to watch this bite. Yeah, I'll watch the bot fight like fucking MM Hunter, exactly. Resto Shaman. In fact, you get banned sooner for using chat. They made it easier to ban people for using chat. Nothing against bots. Speak it for itself.
Oh, we got 2 wins.
Raiki linked it to me. I think this is why only LE Shaman reaches the top. He did say he got 3,600 on Teemo last season, but tanky classes such as LE with easy rotation. Yeah, basically if you're super tanky and you don't need a kite, we were chilling. Like in this lobby, I could like it's definitely a good lobby for a mage, right? But there's gonna be some
Rating
lobbies where
192.
you can play bad and win as a mage. But Ellie, you're just a tank, so it's great. I feel like you could make an augmentation bot probably.
So
I
I
can't like
got
like,
rating,
preservation bots. I feel like there has to be people that do aug bots too. There's no way.
but I
Very
lost
interesting.
rating.
He said there's bots for every class. He was 3K for Aussie mages last season. 3K wasn't high compared to the top. I think some classes are hard. Yeah. I can guarantee you there's an aug bot already. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, with augmentation, if you need to use a bot, like, you're in trouble, right? Like, if you're using an aug bot, that's literally like an IQ check. It's already so easy. You know? Especially in shuffle, augmentation's crazy.
The city's
Bot,
finest
any
wares.
teammates, no knowledge of the spec, spells, or rotation, but still topping the meter somehow. Well, it doesn't really. And solo shuffle, people don't care that much. But yeah, really interesting. So, I guess there are bots for more than just Ellie Shaman. So my perception has maybe changed. I still don't think that you can bot on anything as easy as you do on Ellie, and even Shadow
Return
Priest.
to me soon.
I feel like you could bot on Shadow Priest.
Looking
With
for
that build
something
that
in
Pokemon
particular?
uses, I'm not accusing Pokemons. I think Pokemons has definitely been falsely banned for the 8th time in a row.
Good to
But,
be of
yeah,
service.
his spec on Shadow Priest is another one that I think you could automate. It's true, man. Blizz is picking on him, unfortunately.
Mogra!
I don't want to spread misinformation. What satisfaction does one get?
Farewell.
What satisfaction does one get?
I
from
offer
being
the
known for well
mountain's
there cheating?
finest.
I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. When I was a young lad, and I first started playing Counter Strike, I don't know how old I was. Maybe like 12,
These goods will
13.
serve you well.
It was like Counter Strike 1.3 or Counter
A
Strike
satisfactory
1.4.
arrangement.
Really old. I had a lot
Watch
of
your
fun
back.
latently cheating, like loading up wall hacks, speed hacks, everything, and just going into a lobby and killing everybody and just laughing
You'll
about it.
find no better in the
Like
city.
there are people that just want to watch the world burn. Like they want to cheat.
Bro, let's say
They don't care if
4,000.
people know it. They just want to win. I mean, obviously I'm not like that now, but I can admit when I was, a young man, cheating was hilarious to me. Just ruining the game for everybody else. So bots are nerf Ellie. Okay, so these are bots. This guy's a bot.
You'll find nothing
guy is
better
a
in the
bot.
Isles.
Ember Weaver is a bot. Barbardi. Pokemon's TV is a bot. Barbardi is a bot. John Daniels is a bot. Nice, dude. Amazing. Very cringe. Literally ruining the game. Well, it's gonna. I'll tell you this. I sincerely hope that the last week of the season, all of these bots get banned. Does anyone know if that green line indicator in your video is legal? Honestly, I'm gonna be real. That green line indicator is probably legit. If you make like a weak aura, something to just like show your healer line of sight, I bet that's not illegal. There's no way. Ban add-ons already. I legitimately believe WoW would be better without add-ons, but they would have to put in there's some functionality within the game they would have to add. But I think add-ons actually ruin the game. I am on team anti-add-ons, and I would love to debate anyone about it. I'm a debate me, Andy. But with that being said, I fully acknowledge that the base UI is garbage, so.
What can he do? Look at him.
I'm just gonna wall pump. We all just be bald purple dragon. Insane damage on the lock.
One-shot him.
One-shot him.
Right now.
I'm just killing him through everything. I'm going in. Going deep, baby.
Done everything here, dude. Close him.
We cross streams.
What's happening? What's happening?
One shot in the DK.
That just sounds.
I feel like it sounds kind of low. Are we playing Hog or Step? I mean, one shot? I'm pretty sure Hog one shot.
Hog is like. What do the kids say nowadays?
That's like
that spec
lame,
is
you know?
that spec is cringe, bro.
Alright, I'm fine with that. I like Dev way more, so.
Well, I just want to see like 3 beams. Like you never see
Yeah.
3 beams.
What's also good, you get 3 rescues, 3 time stops, 3 time spirals.
We need to coordinate our rescues, but we have to do it by name. So like, we're gonna be silent all game, and the second somebody hears Chun, then Chun presses rescue.
I don't want to be
You know what I mean?
silent though. I gotta communicate my beams.
Okay, fine. We can communicate. We just don't say names. These are bad.
Yeah, maybe we can just not say anything and play with beams. Just like
Ooh. King system is very helpful. Yeah.
I'm just gonna crank damn the whole game. Dude, I was saying, this season is literally just don't die and do big damn to everything. That's this season.
Been like that since season. It's been like that since the first season.
This season's
Red Hat.
crazy though. I feel like.
Yeah.
it's actually ridiculous.
Oh,
And then like the
it's
classes
you.
that are better at doing damage.
Hello, mortal.
You know, it's so
Oh,
gross.
look, see, there's 3
Good
deaths in the
luck
game.
out
None
there.
class.
Dude, this Woodwalker monk probably wants to scream.
Goodbye now. Till we meet again.
Yeah, maybe
This better be worth
Yep.
my time.
I'm stopping it. I have to.
Nice,
Love
nice,
that.
nice, nice, nice. I'm gonna sleep this guy. Gonna sleep this guy.
I'm okay.
Come on, Sarah.
I'm stunning him.
I press that, press that, press that. I'll do
Goodbye
a stun off that. I'll do a stun off that.
Nice, 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 nice.
Just watch these guys. Go, 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 go. We all stun.
They're on me. They're on me.
I kicked him on tears. Holy fuck.
Yep.
Don't let him tears. Don't let him tears. Don't let him do it.
I already broke his karma.
He's gonna get. I just roll here.
I'm one-shotting this monk.
Sure. Me.
In the islands.
I'm one-shotting the other dragon. I get you.
Nice. Okay,
I'm gonna time spiral, okay? Everybody, make sure you use a charge. Time spiral, use a charge.
nice. I use one.
Nice.
I'm just gonna time skip. Why not? Or time stop.
Yeah, just fuck it.
Yeah, why not? Me.
Just one-shotting. Spell?
Nice, very much. I'm out of line.
Yeah.
Oh my bad.
Nice. That's got no karma, bro.
Just gonna randomly sleep this guy for fun.
I think we just attack his ass.
Yeah, I'm blasting.
I get a fear.
Blasting his
Fear the
ass,
other guy.
dude.
Sleep the other guy. Kill the other guy.
Nice, it's just a sleep all over. It's a sleep party.
Sleep him. Sleep everybody. Kill him. What can he do? Look at him.
Kick this sleep.
Kick that.
He's trying to counter sleep. Don't let him.
I get the thing.
One-shotting.
Green monk.
Son, careful.
I time stop you.
Root him off this one as well.
Time stop.
I rooted him down. He's stuck. Attack his list.
Yeah, nice. I'm going for a sleep on the paladin, maybe. Nice.
He dies.
Nice, dude.
I kill the other guy. No wall.
Oh, stun. Maybe a time stop.
Me. I'll save you.
Good. I'm time stopped and we're
That
saved.
still works though. What?
Yeah, it's insane. You're trying to go me. I'm kiting.
I kick this disintegrate. I'm gonna get some fears rolling here on the fist.
Okay, I'm going big damn city.
You're out mining.
I want to go Evoker. I'm going Evoker more.
Yeah.
Blasting this guy. I can
Sure. I'm just gonna wall and pump, wall pump. So much pump. He's just getting. What the fuck?
That's fucking ridiculous.
Dude, that's called. This is the slumber party cleave, dude.
It feels like playing this feels like we're fucking hacking the game.
It actually does.
When I'm looking around, I can't tell who's who.
We're all the same, dude.
Specific mark. Yeah, no. We should make identical dragons. Look like a purple Barney or something, so we confuse people. Like a bald, make it a bald dragon, no horns, purple.
Like I was bugged too. I was bugged in human form the whole game. That was so weird.
Should we all just be bald purple dragons? 3 Spyros? I'm going, dude. Let's have the smallest body type too. Body size 1.
100%. You gotta be naked too.
Yeah,
You gotta be
naked, no armor.
What are we doing? We're bald?
Yeah, bald, no horns, nothing.
Purple?
I think we should have like a green belly too, like a lime green
What's our
belly.
secondary color? None?
Let's do none. Let's just be purple.
No body markings?
Nothing.
Yeah, none. We're plain as.
Oh, I see.
Dude, this is No horns, right? Just lizards. Phase 3 is the other better. Base pattern, none, markings, none, eye color, What are we doing for eye style? Glow?
I don't think it matters for the eyes. I think our face.
None. Clean. None. We're fully committed to the dream, bro.
I look like a snake that like was evolving in Pokemon and then just like stopped.
I look like a fucking gecko, bro. I gotta get a screenshot for this. It's gonna be nice.
Wait, we need purple stuff. Wait, how do you have gear? How do you take off gear?
It's too
You gotta
far
have
away.
no bombs on your shoulder and your belt.
I'll do that.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I look like. You know when a game comes out and they don't have the characters designed in one color? Like you look like?
Look how ugly I am. Look at my character, even not.
A target.
Should we line
I
up?
don't have a target.
Definitely should. The geckos. Alright. We're gonna win every game.
Dude, this looks so fucking dumb. This looks. Holy fuck, I
Wait,
need
you
more.
have ears.
You got look at
ears?
Look at
Oh
your
shit! I forgot about the ears, bro.
Wait, you look even dumber than like I thought was possible.
Fuck. Keeping the ears, bro.
Alright, here we go. I think I have a one-shot him right here. I think he's dead, bro.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I like that, okay.
He died instantly, dude.
That was fucking awesome, man. Holy shit. Okay.
Look at how dumb we looked. I'm gonna be honest, man. Sometimes it's so fun to come up with absolutely. Yeah. Like the putty guys. I love that movie.
It looked like right before the ooze turns.
Yeah, like the
into
putty guys.
fucking minion. Yeah.
I love that movie. Exactly over there.
I'm just gonna press this stuff.
I use a scale. That should be okay. Watch him. Walk him. It's insane damage on a lot. One shot him.
Right now.
I'm just killing through everything.
We're playing Barney Cleave, not Dragonplay. That sounds a little too frisky.
Barney,
I swear we should play triple chrono loop.
That still sucks ass. The wall sucks.
Yeah, I don't play next. Yeah, I'm going to. Over there. Observer? A wall? Doing a go here, dude. A wall? Sure, I like it. Feeling myself? Okay, look at my one. You're valid. Feeling myself?
Something?
I'm gonna grip you quick.
Alright, good.
Small one. Here you go.
Spiral?
We can kill Lock, dude.
Sure.
There's another spiral for us, dude.
I have huge damage on this lock here. Massive, Omega.
Same.
Have a big deep breath. Oh, look below.
Kill him through heals.
Fuck, he's fucked. Oh, he died anyway. Nice. Nice. Just kill him through heals. The monks across the map.
Look at
Smashing heals everywhere.
Oh my god. Feel bad.
that also is
Goblet.
You wanna? I'm doing something. Am I dead? I can come out. I'm coming out and fly. I'm gonna one-shot the warrior, okay? Insane damage on the warrior.
Sure, kill him. Kill him, blow.
I had another one for them.
It's actually just checkmate. He can't do anything. Like,
The priest was trying to cast the fucking penny, bro. Like at the end of the game.
well, dude, I feel like when you're running this setup and you can, it's OP.
Yeah, it's actually disgusting. Like just the whole, it's like the best PvP talents in the game.
Oh, it's the one-shotter. It's the one-shotter.
Yeah, it is.
The shaman.
I'm stun on him. One shot him instead.
Yeah, doing it.
Most him.
Yeah.
I'll sleep these guys. Shrink it.
Okay, I'm gonna
Want me? Yeah.
Hey, Sham wall there. We can blow up Sham soon. We just gotta live. It's every CD.
There it is. Yeah, I see it.
Be away. Be away.
I
Nice.
use mine too.
What's he doing?
I'm just gonna time stop myself.
Yeah, I like it. He's coming for me. I'm gonna time stop myself. Time stopping. I'm immune.
Blinding.
I'm going in. Big purge. Randomly in on Sean.
Yeah, or reloop.
Yeah. Trying to blast him.
I won't do it yet.
Yeah. Reset mobility.
Yeah, I'm done.
Big purge on them all. There's no odds.
I have a stun too.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Sham. I have infinite dam for him.
Okay, I'll stun him on it.
I have a huge purge.
Yeah.
He's
Huge purge. He's fucked.
as well. Quarter DR fear.
Yeah, good.
Gotta kill him out.
All good.
I still have a lot of damage. Original.
Hitting the lock. Druid zoom.
This wall. He's in.
Be away.
Huge purge. He has no. Shaman has no hots. One-shotting him.
Most him. I got the ground.
Loopy loop. At 50. Trying to heal him. You gonna go back down? He's got one shot soon. Be careful. Look alive. I can stop you if needed. Go on you, Chad. That's fine. I'll get it. Yep. I'm doing secondary purge.
I'll be okay.
Stuck.
Let me kill Sham.
I walled. Sham could die.
Okay, after his wall, I'll pop my stuff, okay?
Okay, I'm randomly going druid.
I just done both here.
Just annoying the druid a bit. Actually can't do anything.
He's trying to get through it. Shit, dude. This guy's yawning at us. He's yawning.
We're literally undefeated as Triple Dragon. Who are they on right now?
Oh, you think
My time stopped you on it.
That's really good. I'm going in. I'm going deep, baby.
Done everything here too. Most damn.
We cross streams. Okay. On the DK.
What's happening? What's happening?
One shot on the DK.
Okay, most damn is one. actually die. You could die. That's everything. It's everything.
Kill you?
Kind of scared.
Okay.
I'll bring it. I'll bring it. He looped you. He looped you. He looped you. He looped you. He looped
Yeah,
you.
I just spelled it.
Okay. Let me know. I can reset your mobility at some point if you want.
This guy?
I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. I'm stunned. Trouble.
I can mean. I have Trinket still.
Yeah. I can still stop you.
Free dragon.
I'm gonna reset your mobility, okay?
Okay, sure.
You can fly.
I'm sure he does. I fear healer. Takes me. It's completely fine. I get a fear here. Unless he lines. Probably lines.
Huge on the DK, randomly. I didn't get it.
I put everything into his stun, okay?
Good sleep.
Yeah. Big fire breath.
Let me kill dragon for sure.
I'm just farming him.
Far.
I'm getting gripped everywhere, bro. What's going on?
It was on his dark splash too. I fear him now too.
Yeah.
I give you
I'll sleep him
You
out.
subbed his son. Kill the dragon still.
Yep. One shot in the dragon. Under grip you, okay?
Sure. You're freaking out though. Freaking out now.
Big on the demon hunter. I'm gonna go back on the healer soon.
I'm lining.
Yeah.
Stun.
Yo, we have the win button soon.
I forget to stop you. I froze you.
Close.
I'm winning too. Winning. So much potential to win here.
I live too.
Okay, you still dead?
Yeah. Dude, he absorbed so much damage from me. He would have died so much. He got the luckiest darkness I've ever seen in my life.
I told Crime stops that game.
People are so sad.
I swear this comp actually sitting does as well. Like, how the fuck did we win? Rescue. Every minute we can double rescue and double time stop. Like, what?
Yeah, and then our
Yeah.
mobility is disgusting too.
What's up?
His darkness had 2.8 million. Look at his darkness ceiling.
That's literally the biggest darkness I've ever seen. I swear I fully pumped into it.
Going to be a rare chance, but way cooler, added around the same time, but scrapped for whatever reason. And it's doubtful the bubble will ever be added since it's just used in aquatic pets now. And the lizard model is the same as all the other lizard models, so there's no real loss with the uninclusion of this. Now, these next pets don't actually have any items that are associated to summoning them, only the spells themselves. These three elemental pets, Crumbling Rockling, Swirling Stormling, and Whirling Waveling, appear in the game files around the famous Cataclysm, but never made it into a playthrough, which makes sense as Cataclysm was a very elemental focused expansion. The models for the pets used to exist in the game as other pets, so I assume these three were just ideas for the pet reward for something that we described. Next up, we've got the Pet Fish Pet. This pet was just a dead fish. You'd use the item and it'd summon a dead fish who would just lay on the floor. The tooltip for this pet reads, summon your pet fish. He used to look healthier, ... It's obviously just a joke pet with a I think this was back when Blizzard hadn't thought of the idea to just put fish in bubbles instead of pets. And this pet was probably a meta joke on why you couldn't have a fish with a companion. But maybe they started having eventual plans in the future and they scrapped this pet since the joke would be made irrelevant by themselves down the road. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into this and the real reason it was just added for a way less complicated reason. There was also a pet rock added to the game files around the same time as this pet, but it was removed as well. But then the pet rock was reintroduced later on anyway, but still no dead fish pet. The next never added pet is called Crafty. There's a legendary fishing pole that was never added to the game called Crafty's Pole, indicating that Crafty is probably some kind of in-joke by developers for things that will never be added to the game. Or maybe it's in reference to the fishing trophy called Old Crafty, and one of the developers just really likes the idea for some reason. Anyways, what's interesting about this pet is that it has a whole set of pet battle moves programmed, as well as stats and flavor text reading, likely to flip out and kill someone, and is noted to be dropped from developers. Its character model is just that of the Pandaren monk pet from the pet store, and all of its abilities are, well, pretty weird. For those of you who don't know, I used to run a pet battle channel where I largely focused on pure pet battle content and other stuff. That is to say, I know a ton more about pet battles than the average person, and what skill sets pets usually have. For Humanoid Pet, Crafty only has one ability that's used regularly by humanoid pets. All of his other abilities are very random. The ability Prod Strike is almost exclusively used by dragons. Baneling Burst is used by only one pet in the game called the Baneling, which is a StarCraft 2 promotional pet for Collector's Edition. Its other moves are pretty generic and are used by many different pet family types, but those two in particular stand out as just really random. This pet is obviously just a big in-joke, probably aimed at data miners or something, and I'm about 99% certain will never be added to the game. Next up we have the Hard-Boiled Egg. This pet is just a baby Murloc with no real special story behind it. There are many other Murloc pets already in the game, and most of them are promotional pets, with I think only one of them being obtainable in the game by finding its secret egg. An interesting thing to note about a Hard-Boiled Egg is that using the ability has a spell ID of Eat the Egg, which is pretty weird. I guess this pet was supposed to be a Murloc pet that popped out of the egg as you tried to eat it or something. And last but not least, we've got little Alexstrasza. This pet was planned to be a mini version of Alexstrasza, similar to how little Ragnaros and little Deathwing have their own mini versions in game. But the idea was scrapped during Cataclysm's beta build before she ever got a unique model. Funny enough, during the Celestial Tournament, Wrathion uses 3 mini versions of dragons in his team called Cindy, Alex, and Dada. Cindy uses the same model as the Frosty pet given out as part of the Lich King's Collector's Edition. And Dada uses the same model as Little Deathwing from Cataclysm's Collector's Edition. And Alex just uses a generic red If a model for Little Alexstrasza existed, I'm pretty sure it would have been used here, since Alex is obviously a reference to Alexstrasza, just like how Cindy is obviously Cindy Grossa, and Dada is Dada. First up, we've got Crossbow. This was actually in the game file since WoW's launch, but was never shown in game until the Wrath of the Lich King expansion in 2008. With the official lore behind the weapon being that it was destroyed by Tyrion. It's very unlikely to ever be obtainable by players, especially since Frost Death Knights take the remains of the broken sword to make their artifact weapons. The sword in the game files is the only weapon in the game with a meta socket. For those who probably don't remember, meta sockets were only ever on helms and could only be socketed with special meta gems which were stronger than normal gems. But they don't appear on any pieces of gear anymore from World of Draenor onwards. The weapon also gives you a Lich King buff, presumably changing your armor to that of the Lich King's, or maybe would actually turn you into a Lich King, making you hostile to everyone until you were killed by your friends. Maybe it would even delete your character once you died, since the weapon in lore does consume your soul. That's probably why it was never made available to players, and totally not because it was the most iconic weapon in the game wielded by the most popular villain ever. And also these were just real rumors at the time about why this wasn't added to the game. The next weapon, called Shard of the Defiler, is a legendary dagger. It supposedly has the ability to turn your character model into a demon and gives it a passive 15% melee attack speed boost and crit chance. When it was first data mined in vanilla WoW, it also did some of its melee damage as shadow damage, which would have been really interesting because, as far as I know, there has never been a melee weapon in the game that has done magical damage. There was once a quest item dagger in the beta version of the Burning Crusade that did arcane damage instead of physical, and mages in the beta were able to get it to insane levels of damage, making battle mages a real and overpowered thing. But that never made it to live, and neither did this dagger. Some speculation of the dagger was that it was just supposed to be part of the original Hydro raid from vanilla WoW, not the Battle for Mount Hydro raid added in PC. For those of you who don't know, the zone of Hydro was blocked off all the way until Cataclysm when it was turned into a leveling zone. And there are rumors that Blizzard had plans for some kind of raid there. While the zone was not accessible to players, it was fully textured and even had the skeleton of Archimonde on the tree for a while. A lot of effort was put into the zone, but it was never used for anything. And this dagger might have been a reward from a scrap zone, seeing as its name could be traced back to Archimonde and it gave a demon appearance. Next up, we've got Thunderfury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, deprecated. Now, Thunderfury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker is a legendary very much in the game. But this weapon, Thunderfury Blessed by the Windseeker Deprecated, has the same stats as the regular Thunderfury, just without the chance on hit effect, or any model data. But what's interesting about Thunderfury Blessed by the Windseeker Deprecated is that it has always required you to be level 100 to equip it. Way back, years ago before World of Draenor was even thought of in the developer's mind, and the max level was still 60. Most of the weapons in this video will either not have a weapon requirement, or have one appropriate for the time the weapon was added to the game. Thunderfury, Blessed by the Windseeker Deprecated, is probably the first weapon ever put into the game files that had a level requirement of 100. The next weapon in this video is actually a fishing pole. Crafty's pole is the only legendary fishing pole in the game files. It only requires a level 1 in fishing to use, and gives you a 1000 skill increase in fishing. The pole was most likely used to test fishing, and probably still is to some extent today. The fishing pole has flavor text that says, "Just holding this fishing pole makes you shiver with excitement." This is possibly the most amazing thing you've ever seen. Most items not made available to players don't have any kind of flavor text. In fact, most items in game don't have flavor text either. There's also an offhanded game that you can catch by fishing Orgrimmar called Old Crafty, with a flavor text said to be the craftiest fish in Orgrimmar. It appears he was outsmarted at last. Funny enough, there was a bug for a while that wouldn't allow players to actually loot Old Crafty when he was caught, making it a very elusive to catch fish indeed. Data mined in vanilla, the original Twin Blades of Azeroth followed lore a lot more closely than the Warglaives that did make it into the game and dropped from Illidan did. The Twin Blades were a weapon that had an uneasy effect, which would split the weapon into 2 separate weapons, called the Warglaive of Azeroth right and left. Its equip effect was pretty similar to the effect of the Warglaives in the game, extra melee haste and bonus damage when fighting demons. These never added Warglaives also have the same model as the Warglaives the Demon Hunter on the bottom start of Vanilla WoW uses, maybe indicating they were going to be added sometime in Vanilla WoW, but were scrapped and replaced with 2 separate legendary weapons with better graphics that dropped from Illidan and Black Temple. The Fudge Hammer is a legendary weapon that appeared in early alpha builds for Warlords of Draenor. Its flavor text reads, "Legendary weapon of Warlord Blackhand." Legendary status derived from its name, not its power. The hammer is obviously a joke item either put in the game to mess with data miners or for testing, but I'm not sure what kind of testing could be done with the Fudge Hammer. It's not like it has amazing stats or anything, and its only effect is given to +2 attack power, which is a pretty insignificant amount of attack power, so I'm pretty sure it's just a joke. Blizzard likes to put some stuff in the game file sometimes, literally just to mess with data miners. Next up, we've got a Troll Guitar. This weapon is a unique model guitar used by the troll in the band that plays during the Darkmoon Fair. The effect of the weapon is to make your character appear to play the guitar. There are 2 other guitars in the game which were available to players at one point in time, and are used by other NPCs during the concert of the Darkmoon Fair. But for some reason, the troll guitar was never made available for whatever reason. So now, if you want your character in-game to look like he's playing a guitar, you better get lucky and grab either the Blood Elf guitar or the Arcanine Ripper off the Black Market Auction House, or play an undead. During the Argent Crusade daily quest, you had to equip a lance and then mount one of the many racial mounts available to you, and then go off an amazing mounted combat that 90% of the WoW community hated. But did you know, Blizzard had intended to include specific racial lances as well? The idea was scrapped pretty early though, as Blizzard only finished 5 of them before stopping that stuff, and just making faction-specific lances. The ones they did make were the Draenei, Gnome, Dwarf, Human, and Troll lances. Next up, we have another joke weapon, probably used for testing, called Teagle's Trashbringer. This weapon was added in the Wrath of Lich King Alpha and given to Death Knights with their talents. Tiggle was the username of WoW's raid designer at the time, and the weapon had the flavor text, "Trash getting you down," in addition to using the weapon model of the Ashbringer itself. The weapon did terrible damage and only vended from 1 copper. Funny enough, its item quality was upgraded to artifact quality with Legion, which probably had something to do with the Ashbringer finally being added to the game for reals. I should probably mention here as well that the Ashbringer was itself a weapon that was in the game since Vanilla WoW, but never added, and had all kinds of rumors and speculations on how to get it that Blizzard referenced with its hidden skin requirement. I'd normally go into more details about this item, but I've already covered its existence in detail in other videos of mine, and it's a super well-known weapon that's famous for never being added. And now onto the last one, Martin's Broken Staff. Originally called Martin Thunder. It was a GM item that had no weapon type, so it could be equipped by all classes, gave 100 resistances to 4 different elements, and had an on-use effect to instantly kill all enemies within 30 yards. This is one of the few artifact quality weapons in the game files, because the thing always had launch and be available to players until Legion. The weapon was changed in patch 3.3 to Martin's Broken Staff, a poor quality weapon with most of the same stats, but with its effect now reading, the caster commits no longer alive and no longer sleep. This change to the item was made a short time after the whole Martin Fury fiasco. Martin Fury was a shirt item with the effect to instantly kill everyone within 30 yards, just like Martin Thunder, only it had a limited amount of charges. A player was given the shirt by mistake from a GM, and then the guy gave it to another guild member who then used it 14 times to one-shot raid bosses, giving them record kill times and even a few Realm First achievements. When Blizzard found out, they banned everyone who was in the guy's guild for 24 hours, and then banned the player who used the shirt permanently. They then changed the shirt to poor quality and changed its effect to instantly kill the player instead, rather than everything around them. This change was most likely made just in case it was given to another player by mistake. And the change was also brought over to the GM item, Martin Thunder, which was then renamed to Martin's Broken Staff. Now, if you play a Ret Paladin in Vanilla WoW, and if you're not fighting an undead, you only have 1 damaging ability. Until the target goes below 20% health anyway, in which case you'll gain access to a second damaging ability. The way red pallies do most of their damage is through their seal system, which buffs their auto attacks and does different things depending if you consume it with your judgment ability, which is their only damaging move, which requires you to have a seal active in order for it to work. So basically, a red paladin's DPS revolves around activating a seal, using judgment to consume that seal to do its unique effect, and then reapplying another seal to buff your auto attack damage while you wait for judgment to come off cooldown. And that's basically how red paladins played. They just waited around for judgment to come off cooldown, as they couldn't really do anything else damage-wise, unless they also wanted to use their AoE ability on single target, or if they were fighting undead, in which case they gain access to 2 new abilities called Exorcism and Holy Wrath. Now, this may surprise you to hear, but this version of the Ret Paladin wasn't added to the game until 2 weeks before the game went live. So basically, completely untested and added in at the last second. Because during the beta, Ret Paladins had a little bit more to do than just activate a seal and use Judgment. Ret Paladins had 2 more damaging abilities called Crusader Strike and Holy Strike. Holy Strike was basically the Paladin version of the warrior ability Heroic Strike, where it would turn your next weapon swing into a harder hitting attack. But Holy Strike turned all that damage into pure holy damage, which meant it bypassed armor and was actually really good. And Crusader Strike is an ability Paladins have in the live version of the game, and they basically have had the ability ever since it was given back to them at the beginning of the Burning Crusade. And what Crusader Strike did in WoW's beta was it would do instant damage and then put a debuff on the target, which would increase the holy damage they took for the next 30 seconds. And this debuff would stack up to 5 times. And Crusader Strike did not have a cooldown. So Paladins actually had a spammable damaging move, as well as a decent holy damage ability on a 10-second cooldown with Holy Strike, which would hit harder the more stacks of Crusader Strike you had up on the target. And this version of the Paladin in the beta was actually pretty good, and did decent damage, unlike how a baseline Red Paladin played in Classic WoW, where they were one of the lowest DPS classes in the game. So, why did Blizzard remove Crusader Strike and Holy Strike, and then basically give them nothing to replace their only damaging abilities? Well, there are some theories and rumors about this, and I plan on going over both of them. First up, mechanically speaking, these 2 abilities were removed from the game because they just made the Paladin go incredibly quickly. Both Crusader Strike and Holy Strike cost mana to use, and caster classes in vanilla WoW had to worry about their mana. So they had to be careful about which abilities they could spam before running out of mana. And while Paladins did good damage with these 2 abilities, having a spammable Crusader Strike caused them to run out of mana a little bit too quickly, and the vanilla WoW class design was absolutely not about making the mana cost lower, as there were a couple of other classes in the game who were unviable because they also had so much mana problems. So many people theorize the reason they converted Ret Paladins into the auto attack version we got for vanilla WoW was a band-aid way of solving the mana issue that Crusader Strike brought up. If the Paladin only needs to use 1 ability every 8 seconds in order to do damage, then they don't have to worry about mana as much for their DPS. Regardless of the fact that this promoted a style of gameplay which wasn't as fun as what Crusader Strike and Holy Strike might have brought about. And there was also the debuff limit. Vanilla WoW only had an 8 debuff slot limit, which was later increased to 16, which is what we have at the start of Classic WoW. And if the Paladin's main damaging ability, Crusader Strike, required them to take up one of these debuff slots, then Paladins wouldn't be able to use their main damaging ability in raids anyway, and they'd be stuck with only Holy Strike every 12 seconds. Because in beta, when Paladins had both Crusader Strike and Holy Strike, Judgment and Seals didn't really exist in the way they did in vanilla WoW. Beta Judgment was literally just Holy Wrath, where it was an AoE that only worked on undeads. And when they changed the Paladin class to how it eventually worked in vanilla WoW, they changed Judgment into the 8-second cooldown ability, which consumed seals in order to do damage. And then they just added in Holy Wrath, which had Judgment's full effect. And the seal system was completely added to the game along with this Judgment change, where the seal system in vanilla WoW requires you to activate a short-term buff on yourself, which is usually about 30 seconds, and then you consume that 30-second buff with your Judgment in order to do damage. and other various effects. And while that 30-second buff is on you, it gives you an auto attack buff, which does various things depending on which seal you're using. And the things in beta WoW, which were called seals, were just changed into the blessings, which is kind of confusing to explain in this video, but to make it as simple as possible, they completely created the seal mechanic from scratch at the start of Vanilla WoW, and then for some reason gave it a naming convention after another set of abilities that Paladins already had, that functions nothing like how the seal mechanic works. Anyways, since they didn't have the seal and judgment mechanic alongside Crusader Strike and Holy Strike, they never really got to test how that would function for the class, allowing them to have 3 damaging abilities that they would then use regularly along with the auto attack buffs and seals. Considering that system would still have the mana problems and the debuffs locked, I can see why they decided to simplify things themselves and just give them the auto attack instead, so that Paladins could focus on doing run buffs. You see, Paladin buffs were really good, but they only lasted for 5 minutes, and you can only place 1 on a person at a time. So having a Paladin in your raid meant everyone else in your raid could do more damage and healing. But that also meant the Paladin spent most of their global cooldowns just buffing everyone else, making them one of the only pure support classes to exist in the game, which could be another big reason why they were changed to focus on auto attacks instead of having an active rotation with Crusader Strike, because they wanted the Paladin to use those global cooldowns on buffing the raid instead of using them on damaging moves. Of course, the seal mechanic wasn't a huge success either, as it was all but removed after Vanilla WoW since, while it did have a few fans, it wasn't very good, and I'm sure everyone probably would have liked it more if it just did a little bit more damage, or, a little bit more involved than having to press 2 buttons every 8 seconds. So, if you go back and watch any beta footage of World of Warcraft that has Paladins in it, you can actually see Crusader Strike on the debuff bar of the video I'm showing right now, as a shaman is going out and fighting a paladin in the open world, and you can see the Crusader Strike debuff on there as he's killing the higher level paladin. But Vanilla WoW was already taking a long time to come out. It was in development for 5 years before they launched, so they started just rushing things towards the end, but it's kind of a wonder why they decided to make such a drastic change to the paladin class 2 weeks before the game launched, which kind of segues into this next section of the video. Now, outside of the mechanical reasons that people theorize, these aren't confirmed in any way, about why they removed Crusader Strike and Holy Strike, there's also the rumors of 2 game developers joining around the same time the seal system was added. 2 famous EverQuest players named Furrer and Tiggle joined the WoW development team at around the time Paladins got this drastic change to their damaging rotation. And the change to the Paladin class was so last second that even in the official Vanilla WoW guide, which was sold in stores, they featured the Paladin old class systems, including Crusader Strike, Holy Strike, and calling their blessings seals. And you see, these 2 players were infamous for absolutely hating hybrid classes, to the point where they would stage protests in game whenever they found out a hybrid class was doing anything except being a buff bot, or something like that. They just really didn't like the fact that a hybrid class could do as much damage as a pure DPS class, and they were well known for wanting hybrid classes to basically be terrible as a tax for being able to do a whole bunch of different things, which would make sense why Paladins lost their fun rotation as soon as they joined and were given the infamous seal system for Vanilla WoW. Although I call these just rumors instead of what actually happened, because there isn't confirmation that this is why it happened. And in fact, Ghostcrawler is largely credited with changing Paladins and how they work. And Ghostcrawler is also the person who wanted hybrid classes to perform just as well as DPS classes. So what probably happened was Ghostcrawler just wanted to try out these changes to Paladins and see how it worked. Saw that it failed in Vanilla WoW, and then changed his philosophy going forward to try to push all classes to basically being equal. So, all that being said, there's not too much credit to the Furrer or Tiggle changing Vanilla WoW Paladins into a garbage spec, although this wouldn't be a video about beta ret Paladins without mentioning this very famous rumor. I just couldn't find any confirmation for any of these rumors besides lots of speculations on forums and stuff, which is usually the case for very famous WoW rumors. So, there you have it. The reason Paladins only had 1 damaging ability was because it was given to them at the last second without any kind of testing like all the other classes got, as well as a whole bunch of rumors and theories as to why they made this decision in the first place. After Vanilla WoW, Blizzard changed Paladins to no longer be buff bots. They allowed them to actually tank, and gave them competitive DPS. Arguably, it was much better than it was in Vanilla WoW though. First up, let's go with an unknown NPC. Located on a small tip of land just east of the Firewing Point in the Terracar Forest is an NPC named David Wayne. Unless you have the quest chain which would send you to him, then he simply has a couple of dialogue options which basically state that he was part of the Sons of Lothar, and then decided to head on his own as he thought he should be part of something larger. If you do his quest chain, it's a very long series of events which send you into 4 separate dungeons to collect items, which will eventually culminate in creating a weapon that has a lot of extra attack power when fighting demons. And the stats on the weapon are about equivalent to an epic quality item when fighting demons, despite the fact that all of the weapons are blue quality. Although, with how many dungeons you have to run into to work the weapon, there's a good chance you would have found a better weapon by the time you completed the quest. So it was never a necessary thing to do, or even really that good once you got to the content that involved killing demons in the Burning Crusade. And there's a Hearthstone card called the Master Swordsmith, which shows David Wayne crafting the demonic blade in its artwork. Now, here's what's notable about this NPC. He was theorized to be the second son of Alexandros Morgrave. In Vanilla WoW, there were some pieces of lore that stated that the second son of Alexandros was living in the Outland, and would be able to reform the Ashbringer. Because remember, they had originally planned on giving players the Ashbringer in Vanilla WoW before changing their mind. So, there was a lot of groundwork laid for the eventual reveal of the Ashbringer that they eventually abandoned and never did anything with until Legion. So, players speculated that this Master Blacksmith, who helped to create weapons that are really good against demons, was the most likely candidate as the second son of the previous wielder of the Inspiration, based on rumors. However, once Wrath of Lich came out, it was revealed that Darian Nordrain was actually the second son, and we meet him immediately upon doing the Death Knight in Trustmere. Now, let's look over the hidden story of Caretaker. Located near Honorhold is an NPC who tends the gravestones, which many Alliance players will be familiar with when they really die in Outlands. There are no quests that send you to Caretaker Delandris, and there's no special lore associated to him either. He just simply walks around the gravestones, and occasionally will place flowers on top of them. If you go up and talk to him, he'll tell you that he was actually born in Outlands, and as a boy, he always dreamed about going back to his homeland and had heard all kinds of stories about how much nicer it was. Grass, ocean, big stars. Unfortunately, both of his parents passed away when he was young, and as he grew up, he joined the Sons of Lothar and took it upon himself to take care of his parents' gravestones, as well as all the others from the family members lost and told. And he laments that he no longer wishes to leave this place, as it's his duty to take care of his one job. There's even piles of gravestones nearby waiting to be used, as Outlands is a pretty dangerous place. Now, there's nothing really else known about Caretaker Delandris. There's not even really a reason to talk to him. He was basically put in by Blizzard in order to fill out the world more. And there's lots of NPCs like this, which is one of the joys at looking at the unknown side of WoW. And now for some information about the earliest versions of the game. Did you know Paladins did not have a taunt in Vanilla WoW at all? And the reason they didn't have a taunt is actually kind of funny. Some Blizzard class designers from the time said they intended for the Protection Paladin to have the ability to tank, but they were afraid that it would be too powerful. You see, Paladins were kind of rushed out in WoW's launch, as they had a whole bunch of reworks right as the game went live and they had no time to actually test any of them. So Paladins were kind of infamous for being incredibly weak on the damage front. But even with this, they thought Paladins were going to be too strong because they could heal themselves. And they said that the biggest reason they didn't give them a taunt is because they thought a Paladin would just tank everything and then heal themselves up, and they would be too overpowered. Once they saw players in raids though, they knew this wasn't actually a concern. That's why the Burning Crusade, they gave them the ever so important taunt abilities, and even allowed them to have the niche of being the AoE tank, which made Paladins one of the best tanks to have in Hunter. It's kind of funny that they thought having the ability to heal would make them too good as a tank. But really, that cast time on healing made it not really a viable thing to do at all. And a Paladin wouldn't heal themselves unless it was an instant cast, or they had some way to bubble or literally crouching from the sides of the monsters, as you can't use any of the casting mitigations in the casting either. Which means you take extra damage while channeling or casting abilities because you can't dodge, parry, or block. And now, let's take a look at a forgotten and named NPC. Located in the southern portion of the Hellfire Peninsula, walking back and forth on a broken bridge segment that is not accessible until you get a flying mount, is an NPC named War Boss Necrog. It's just a lone fell orc that walks back and forth. Doesn't have any dialogues or quests associated to him, his name isn't a reference to anything, and he's not important to lore. However, he did have a quest associated to him in the Burning Crusades beta. There was actually a whole quest chain surrounding this area, and a couple of the quests in that 10 quest long chain directly involved interacting with War Boss Necron. Basically, he was the leader of some of the fell orcs in the area, and had taken his scout captive. So what you were supposed to do was build a bomb and use it in order to get his attention, which would cause him to climb down from the bridge in order to investigate, which then would allow you to attack him in order to recover the key necessary to free the scout. And seeing as there were Horde and Alliance versions of this quest chain, it's kind of a wonder why they removed it from the live version of the game. It could be because the lore is kind of spotty. War Boss Necrog is said to be a commander of some of the fell orcs in the area, even though they all work under the Shattered Head clan target places. Or it could be because the quest was kind of complicated. In order to obtain the quest line, you had to find a random item and then use a bomb in the area, since it did patrol back and forth, which maybe caused some pathing issues with having to climb down from an inaccessible vantage point from really high up. It was like 50 yards away. Or it could be any number of reasons. We don't actually know why it was removed. Just that when it was removed, they left the named NPC in the game, still walking in his passive location. It probably even still has the programming from the quest on the NPC. But since there's no way to trigger it, it's relegated to lost and forgotten status. Kind of out of the way too for people to even notice him. And not an NPC you can even fight until higher levels when you unlock flying, when he's no longer even a challenge. And now for the hidden side of WoW. Located on the southern edge of the Hellfire Peninsula is an object called the Jar of Ashes right in front of a skeleton. The skeleton is commonly called the Hellfire Peon in the WoW community, and if you click on the Jar of Ashes in front of him, you'll get a bit of flavor text, which reads, "Here is a jar of ashes. These are the ashes of my sanity, my passion, and my drive, all utterly destroyed by themselves. May all those who look upon these desolated lands of hellfire remember this fallen peon. He shed blood for the Alliance and sacrificed for the Lord, only to be driven utterly mad by the wicked and soulless ones who devoured what he called. As they feast from his toils, may they suffer his wrath. Maybe not in this world, but in every world hereafter. It is my declaration, my solemn oath, and my everlasting promise. I will avenge my suffering." Now, this little piece of flavor text doesn't really relate to anything specific anymore, and it's just another piece of flavor added to give more personality to the zone that we discover, as the little jar is located way out of the way, and while it is accessible to players without flying mounts, it's hard pressed to actually go to this location accidentally. So it's just a nice little Easter egg of someone in Hellfire Peninsula who probably died in some terrible way that made him just hate the world and write a very lengthy, passionate letter. There is some speculation about what this could be relating to though. Shortly before the Burning Crusade launched, a CM on the WoW forums left the company after going on a bit of a rant. You see, in the era of the end of Classic and the hype for the new first expansion, the Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft was receiving a lot of attention. Way more than the WoW development team probably expected they would ever get, as it just continuously got bigger every month and wouldn't stop growing until Cataclysm when it hit its peak. And so during the early transition period, when they were having a huge wave of people hitting the forums, before they'd hired the appropriate amount of staff to deal with them, the people who were there before weren't really expecting to have to deal with a massive amount of trolls. And so it caused a couple of incidents with some of the CMs, and the CM Tesserek in particular wrote out the following in response to people calling him a douchebag in a way that circumvented the profanity filter, and he lashed out at that person. When some of the other people in the forums then started making fun of him for defending himself, this was his response. Can't help it. Posted impassionately, they say you don't care. Posted nothing, they say you ignore. Posting with passion, you incite trolls. Posting fluff, you say nonsense. Post with facts you have, they whittle down with rationale. There is no win. There is only slow degradation. Take note. It is the first and only time you'll see someone in my position make that position. You can be me when I'm gone. And then after this, he was called out for being unprofessional. And this was his response to those lines of messages. When you can understand how a group of belligerent and angry posters can drive away people from this game with an uncrafted and improvisational campaign of misery and spin doctoring, then perhaps you can understand the decisions I make. Until you face mobs of psychology, you will not see my side. Until you see some bright-eyed player coming into the forums wanting to know what they should spec as this class, and see them shat on and driven away by petty and selfish people who are simply leveraging for game buffs, you will not understand. You will not understand until you see it daily, for years, until you understand that many people will trot over you to get where they're going, or to get what they want. Until you understand that so many people will agree, completely, 100% with a loud, vulgar, and assertive individual, not because he is right, but because he is taking a stand against the man. To take no critical thought in what they say, but simply to hop on board. Until you actually try to acknowledge those who do not speak on the forums, for whatever reason they have, you will not understand. If you think an archaic business formula like the customer is always right works, you fail to understand customers, not a customer. It is a collective. No one person, even myself, is truly above the whole. I simply have the unfortunate quality of being easily singled out. Now, while nothing he said is quoted directly in the flavor text, it is pretty easy to see where the parallels come with people thinking this line of flavor text is in response to Tesseric, as it's really easy to associate the wickedness and soulless ones who devoured what they held most dear to just be a parallel to the trolls on the WoW forums. And the second line about how they destroyed his sanity and passion is also pretty similar to his post about passion. And seeing as the Burning Crusade launched shortly after Tesseric left the company, it could be easy to assume that this was put in game by a fellow game developer who agreed with the things he said in the WoW forums. It's doubtful that his CM had the power to put this in the game himself before leaving, which is what a lot of people theorize, and we also don't know if he was fired or left on his own terms. But it is a popular theory that this is in reference to Tesseric and his rant on the forums. And it's pretty easy to see the parallels after reading all of his dialogues, of which I only posted a small handful. And what's also pretty hilarious about this rant is how much it relates to World of Warcraft even in the modern day. If you heard someone say what he said today, it wouldn't seem out of place at all, which is kind of funny that even in the golden era of WoW, people were very angry about the game all the time, and the constant toxic forums. When the WoW developers were first planning out which classes players would be allowed to play, druids were not on that original shortlist, but Blizzard did have 9 classes planned in the original list. Basically, warriors, paladins, shamans, greystones, warlocks were all in the design table from the beginning. And in addition to those 7, they also had assassins and rune masters. Assassins eventually got converted into rogues, as they had a spec called Assassination, and Rune Masters were never actually added to the game. Now, the idea behind Rune Masters was to have an unarmed fighter who had runes on their body, which gave them magical properties. And they were kind of like an enchanter, but a whole class based around enchanting their bodies in order to do magic or physical feats. And they had even planned on having Rune Masters being one of the hero classes, once they eventually decided to not include it in vanilla. And he would be alongside the Death Knights and Necromancers. And that also means they had planned on adding Necromancers to the game at some point, just as a hero class which was supposed to be better than normal classes. So they never actually went with Rune Masters, but they did like the ideas behind some of its flavor. So they kind of split it up into the Death Knight and Monk classes that were eventually used. Death Knights have a rune system to use their magic, similar to how they wanted the Rune Masters to work, and Monks are an unarmed class, who do basically the other side of what Rune Masters were supposed to be. And then they eventually just added druids because that's a fantasy staple, and there were already some pretty notable lore figures that are druids, so it only made sense for them to add them. And funny enough, druids were not the last class added into the game, program anyway. They just weren't on the original design table of classes. Hunters were actually the last class to be added, programmed into the game, and even then, they only barely made it. And their design philosophy with druids was that they wanted them to shapeshift a whole bunch, so they gave druids a whole bunch of abilities that can only be used in their very forms. And they intended for players to be constantly shapeshifting in battle in order to do their full rotations and stuff. But there was one little caveat to this that they had kind of overlooked. Shapeshifting cost way too much mana to do that. And the final talent point in their Feral Tree for a time was a talent that reduced the shapeshifting cost by 25%, which did not alleviate this problem at all, I might add. Shapeshifting still cost a ton of mana. But Blizzard was happy if a class was good at least one role in a raid, and druids could function as a healer in raids, as they gave innervates to priests or other healers, so they considered them good to go, even if the design philosophy they were supposed to be doing in raids didn't actually work. You know, the whole shape-shift and a whole bunch of things. Eventually, later on in the game's history, they did a much better job of encouraging druids to shapeshift more in combat, but generally only in PvP. As PvP players would shift into bear form in order to tank damage or to use their stun ability, and then shift into travel form to run away or go behind pillars, then go into human form to heal up. So if you want the true shape-shifting druid fantasy, you kind of have to play PvP for it, as in raids and dungeons you basically just stay in one form the whole time. For this video, I thought it would be fun to read through the manual that came with vanilla WoW and compare some of the things it says with how the game works today. I'll be honest, a lot of the things are still mostly the same, but there were a few very noticeable differences. Like for one, the manual says that each faction only has 4 races. As of making this video, there are 9 available races to each faction, for a total of 18 playable races. Each faction individually now has more playable races than the combined amount of Horde and Alliance races from vanilla WoW. And there are still 4 more races planning on being added soon, with Blizzard promising even more down the road. The manual also says there's only 9 classes to choose from, and that Paladins are Alliance only, and Shamans are Horde only. Well, there's only 12 classes to choose from today, so only 3 more since vanilla WoW. The amount of new classes added since then isn't that drastic, like the amount of playable races. Also, Shamans and Pallies were made cross-faction the very next expansion in the Burning Crusade. Faction-exclusive classes didn't stay in the game very long. In a screenshot of the in-game user face, on the mini-map, it has an indication for the day/night clock. In current WoW, at night, it only gets slightly darker, while in vanilla, it was a much bigger deal, so that part of the minimap doesn't exist anymore. Characters gain access to new spells and abilities whenever they get spells. To learn these new abilities, you must speak to your class trainer. In current WoW, you learn all of your spells automatically, and the only classes that still need to visit the trainers are mages to learn new portals. If you ask the ghost healer to resurrect you, you will lose a significant portion of experience. This amount will never force you to lose a level. Now, this part of the manual surprised me. I didn't know they had planned on making you lose experience on death. This never made it into vanilla though, and was only in beta stages of WoW. You see, in other MMOs at the time, that was pretty standard. I've heard stories of people dying a few times in raids and having to go back out and level up again before being able to do more attempts due to the level loss. And one of the main appeals of WoW was its less punishing nature to deaths, and the fact that running around the world didn't have load screens, which was like magic to people back then, making it seem like a real open world. Although, one of the next paragraphs in the manual says, it is almost always better to run to your corpse rather than ask a spirit healer to resurrect you. That's because all you lose when you run to your corpse is time, which means you are only supposed to lose experience when rezzing from a spirit healer. You'll notice over the course of this video that the manual will say a few things that never even made it into vanilla WoW, which means the manual was probably written with beta WoW as a reference. Certain character classes can cast spells to raise you from the dead. The priest, shaman, and paladin all have resurrection spells. Notice how they do not list druid among the classes that can raise. Druids did have a battle res in vanilla, just not a regular res for some reason. They were eventually given a normal res pretty early on in the game's life cycle, but I'm not sure if it was in vanilla WoW. Also, a note on resurrection sickness. When you are resurrected by a spell or soul stone, you revive with a condition called resurrection sickness. Resurrection sickness did exist, it was just applied by player reses and not the spirit healers. Nowadays, player reses impose no such disadvantages, and resing at the spirit healer gives res sickness. Critters are non-combative animals, such as sheep, rabbits, cows, and prairie dogs. These animals will never fight you, even if you attack them. Killing a critter earns you no experience. Little did they know about pet battles, which would be added only 8 years later. Also, critters will attack you if you get into combat with them. They just don't do very much damage. This next part will be about various stats. Strength determines the physical power of your character. A high strength improves your attack power. Strength is also a determining factor in how much damage you block if you use a shield. Rogues and hunters only use a partial value of strength to determine your power. Now, strength still kind of works the same way. Only I'm not sure if it still increases the amount you can block. But it no longer provides any benefit to rogues and hunters. It used to be, I think, that strength classes would get 2 attack power per point of strength, and other classes would just get 1 attack power per point of strength. So while it wasn't as useful, it was still not half bad if you had a piece of gear with strength on it as a rogue or hunter, which was probably the case quite frequently because vanilla pieces of gear were a mess when it came to which stats they had. Now onto agility. Agility improves your armor rating, your chance to dodge an attack, and your chance to score a critical hit with a melee or ranged attack, thus dealing increased damage. Rogues and hunters also use agility in combination with strength to determine their attack power. Old school agility was so nice. Current day agility just gives attack power, but it used to also give an increase to dodge, an increase to armor, and an increase to crit. It was good to the point where tanks didn't really mind it on a piece of gear, all the way up until Wrath. Plus the vanilla version gave rogues and hunters 2 attack power per point, and other classes 1. But then in the Burning Crusade it was changed to only 1 attack power per point for all classes, because I guess Blizzard thought agility was too overpowered as is, for all the different stats it gave on top of attack power. But then it was changed back to 2 attack power for agility classes in Cataclysm, I think, and its other bonus effects weren't removed until Warlords of Draenor. So nowadays, agility only gives attack power, nothing else. Stamina affects your hit points, no matter what class you play. However, characters designed to absorb damage, such as warriors and paladins, gain more benefit from stamina than classes who have other capabilities, such as rogues and druids, who in turn gain more benefit from pure spellcasters, such as mages. This might be a little misleading, as stam was the same for all classes. It's just some classes could take talents that gave them more health and stuff. Intelligence improves your mana reserves. Intelligence has no bearing on non-spell casting classes. Int used to increase your max mana all the way up until Mist of Pandaria. They also made it so that it gave you a little bit of spell crit later on. Despite what it says about not being usable for non-spell casters, Int was a very highly valued stat by hunters for quite some time. I'm just not 100% sure if they liked all that much reveal or well. They did like it in TBC and Wrath. Also, Int used to increase, like, how fast you could gain weapon skills. So, it was kind of useful for melee classes, just not in any kind of raid or PvP setting. And more in a pure, put on intellect pieces of gear when you go out and grind weapon skills. Spirit determines the regeneration rate for your health and mana. A high spirit results in much faster regeneration, while a low spirit gives you reduced regeneration. Spirit is no longer in the game, and pretty much functions the same way as it says here until it was removed. Also, Blizzard was trying to push the angle that all classes needed spirit and not just healers, and that's why I think some pieces of warrior gear had spirit on it, because it did increase your health as well as mana, only out of combat. There wasn't really a way to give you that out of combat regeneration in combat, outside of a very infamous troll racial that everybody made fun of for being bad. All characters start at level 1 in the game, and can advance in level by learning experience. The level cap in the game is 60. Once you achieve level 60, you cannot gain any more levels. Keep in mind that as an online role-playing game, World of Warcraft is always being updated with extra content. While at its release, the game has a level cap of 60, this cap will increase in future as the game continues to evolve. As of reading this now, the level cap is expected to be raised to 2 times the level cap. This goes to show how long it goes. Experience is the only means of advancing levels, and it is gained in 2 primary ways. Most experience comes from defeating monsters and completing quests. The third means of getting experience, exploring the world, gives you so little experience compared to the 2 primary methods that it can't really help you gain character points. Nowadays, there are a few more ways to get XP outside of the 3 listed in the manual. You now also get experience from battlegrounds, collecting materials from gathering professions, finding treasures, and from pet battles, in addition to killing monsters exploring quests. Your class skills, which determine the effectiveness of your class spells and abilities, do not automatically improve when you level up. Instead, they improve as you use them. However, the skill cap you have in class skills does increase when you gain a level. For example, as a first level priest, your maximum skill level in holy magic is 5. As you cast holy spells, your holy skill will eventually max out at 5 points, until you advance to the next level and your holy magic skill cap increases. This was the old system of spell skills, which never made it into vanilla WoW. But weapon skills did make it into the game and worked exactly how it's listed here. Except for, only using weapons instead of spells. The 4 slots at the bottom of your character window are for your handheld equipment. The first slot is for your primary hand, the second slot is for your offhand, the third slot is for your ranged weapon, and the 4th slot is for your ammunition. Nowadays, we only have 2 slots for weapons, not 4. It used to be you could have 2 melee weapons equipped along with a ranged weapon. The ranged weapon was almost exclusively just a stat stick for all classes except hunters. So Blizzard just removed it and moved ranged weapons and wands to the main hand slot. Although I guess an argument could be made that many casters did use their wands also, except you only ever wanted something if you didn't want to use wands. So when Blizzard kind of fixed the whole casters never run out of magic thing, they didn't really need wands anymore. For this next part, the manual lists all the types of item quality in the game. Gray, white, green, blue, purple.
Mom kind of shit.
Hints that there may be a more powerful type out there. Obviously hinting at legendary. But in addition to those types, including legendaries, we now have the artifact quality, heirloom quality, and a quality only used for the WoW token. The manual lists all the classes and a little bit of info about them. So for this first part, I'll basically just summarize a few things that stood out to me and not be comparing every little thing. For warriors, it details the importance of the stances they used to have and lists some of the weapons they can use as advanced, including the ability to wear plate armor, which I think was just kind of a leftover thing from copying D&D, because it never really meant anything in game, other than needing to learn how to use those weapons from weapon trainers out in the world, rather than just starting out being able to use those weapons. For mages, it says, a fragile class with little health and poor fighting ability. However, they make up for this physical weakness with their awesome spellcasting. Mages can dish out the most
This
ranged
5
damage in
seconds
the
is like
shortest time.
actually ridiculous.
I thought that was funny. Mages are
Because it
supposed to
only
be
does
a
spheres.
fragile
And like
class,
with
which I
diminishing
mean
returns.
isn't entirely wrong
like-
today either. Mages are still kind of squishy. It's just
Like
they
it's
also
gonna
have
get
one
rid
of
of
the
a
best
polymorph
defensive
or a
cooldowns
sap or
in the form
something.
of ice block. Mages did have ice block
Yeah, it's
back
bad.
then as well, It's just raid mechanics have changed over time, where a class with a full immunity cooldown is more valuable than a DPS class that just takes mildly less damage baseline. Also, the point about them being able to do the most range damage in the shortest time might still be true today. I'm not exactly an expert on which classes have the most burst damage, but I do remember back in Dragon's Soul, when guilds were progressing on the Spine of Deathwing, a fight which basically only required classes with the most burst possible. Half of the raids on all of the world first kills were comprised of mages for their burst damage. And from what I've read online, mages are still top tier when it comes to burst, but not overwhelming like that. While the Shaman, Druid, and Paladin can also heal, none of them can heal as well as the Priest. Also, the Priest has better resurrection spells than the Paladin or Shaman. Can you imagine a game in which the manual said something like this in an MMO today? Nowadays, all the healers are pretty equal. Priests just have 2 healing specs instead of 1. Also, I'm not sure what it means about priests being better at rezzing. Maybe priests brought them back to life with like more health or something? Which I guess is technically better, but I mean, still not a lot. For the rogue page, funny enough, a lot of the stuff is still kind of the same. Other than the fact that they also have a list of advanced weapons they can learn. Fun fact about Cheap Shot. Cheap Shot is one of the few abilities in the game that still works exactly the same as it did in Vanilla WoW. Their powerful buffs are among the best in the game, able to boost all attributes in addition to conferring strong armor and resistance bonuses. Their offensive spells, while good, are not meant as the Druid's main threat. I love how the Druid's selling point is their Mark of the Wild. Fortnite classes in vanilla, they just got the short end of the stick. Nowadays, they're properly balanced and no longer give that buff, which was their selling point. Although, it is planned to make a return in the next expansion. The power page basically just talks about their auras and seals they used to have, plus mentions a few times about how they excel at fighting the dead, which apparently was a selling point in vanilla. Nowadays, they still kind of have auras and seals, just not in the way that they existed in vanilla WoW. And also, they no longer excel at fighting undead, but they do have some, like, flavor interactions with them in 1 or 2 abilities. The Shaman's unique power is totems. Totems are spiritual objects that a shaman must earn through questing. Once earned, a totem enables a shaman to cast totem spells associated with that totem's element. Totem spells can be purchased from a trader, although, in order to cast a totem spell, the appropriate elemental totem must be carried in the shaman's inventory. Totems are almost exclusively cooldowns now, but that was once what shamans were all about, and their selling point. You no longer need to go on crazy long quests to get your totem items to be able to use your totem abilities. Elemental shamans can still drop 4 totems at once with a talent, but those are mainly just there as like a fluff way of giving you passive buffs, and don't function like old school buff totems that gave everyone a buff. A hunter's pet must be kept happy, or it will leave you and even turn on you. For those of you who don't know, hunter pets once had a happiness bar, and if it was too unhappy, it would run away from you. Also, pets just lost happiness over time, so if you AFK'd in a city long enough without feeding your pet, it could leave you. Once a character achieves 10th level, it will begin earning talent points at the rate of 1 per level. Talent points can then be spent at the talents window. Every class has 3 lines of talents, not including a character's racial talents list. Alright, let's stop there. Racial talents? Now that's a new one. As many of you probably know, there were no such things as racial talents in vanilla WoW. And in fact, I had no idea what this could be referring to, as I don't think it showed up in the beta either. But then I remembered a video I made last year, in which another YouTuber helped me out with an alpha client patch, which included skill points. So I went back and watched my video, and what do you know? Those skill points were indeed called talent points, and even had a TP next to their little indication saying what you needed to spend on them. Now, how these worked was that you got talent points as you leveled up, a lot more than one, and could spend them on an incredibly large selection of talents, ranging from giving 2% increased chance to parry while wielding a two-handed axe, not two-handed weapons in general, literally just two-handed axes. Also another for 2% more crit with two-handed axes, 2% more attack power, and so on and so on. Same for all other weapons and spell schools, like a talent to increase your holy magic skill at the cost of reduced shadow resistances. There were a ton of talents like this, going over a wide range of incredibly specific things, and actually was really neat, if not a tad bit cumbersome, although these didn't make it into beta WoW, so this manual might have had this part written during the alpha WoW development stage. Now to continue on with the rest of this article from the game manual. Talent points can be spent to purchase talents, which can do a variety of things. Many talents can improve your class's existing abilities, give you new abilities, or improve your class skills. All classes have the same talent points, but no single character can hope to acquire every single talent. Thus, there are many talent choices open to your character, and your choices will help differentiate you from other players playing the same class. Talents are still technically in the game, but they work nothing like how they're listed here. Nowadays, you get a new talent once every 15 levels or so, and you just choose one of 3 abilities. Also, there it goes again talking about class skills, which never made it to live. In addition, there are race restrictions on weapon skills. Gnome warriors, for example, cannot use bows, while Night Elf warriors can't use guns. I did not know about this. Apparently, it was planned for some races to not be able to use certain weapons. I'm pretty sure that didn't make it into Vanilla WoW though, and instead, races just got racial bonuses if you used a certain weapon, like trolls getting a bonus for using bows and dwarfs getting a bonus for using guns. To harvest an herb, simply right-click on it. If you have the necessary skill level, you'll almost always open a loot window containing the herbs you found.
It's time.
If you get a message telling you that you failed to harvest the herb, simply retry it. Apparently, you could fail when trying to herb or mine. That is not the case today. Every character can learn up to 2 trade skills. This enables a player to be self-sufficient and choose one gathering trait skill and one production trait skill. Alternatively, you could learn 2 gathering trait skills or 2 production trait skills. No character can learn more than 2 trait skills. However, secondary skills such as fishing and cooking do not follow under this restriction. Notice how it doesn't list first aid as a secondary skill. Also, later on in the manual, it lists first aid under the production trade skills, like blacksmithing and leatherworking, which hints that first aid was meant to be a primary profession for some time. Nowadays, first aid is a secondary profession, although it is planned on being removed in the next expansion. Hearthstone can only be used every 60 minutes. So after you use a Hearthstone, you must wait another hour before you can use it again. Nowadays, Hearthstones have a 30-minute cooldown, and can be lowered to 15 minutes through a guild perk. But for the longest time, it did have a 1-hour cooldown that couldn't be lowered. As with aerial mount travel, only Horde players may use the Horde Zeppelins, and only Alliance players may use the Alliance ships. I assume this means you couldn't sneak onto ships as Horde and use them at one point, because today, as long as you can sneak onto boats or Zeppelins, they work for both factions. It's just they're surrounded by hostile NPCs. Each race has its own unique type of mount, except for Tauren, who are too big to ride animals and must resort to their planes running racial ability. Yeah, that did not make it into Vanilla WoW. Taurens were given Kodos to ride eventually. Now, all races can ride pretty much any mount, and there's just faction restrictions instead of racial ones. There are 3 auction houses in the world: a Horde auction house in Orgrimmar, an alliance auction house in Ironforge,
Let us
and a
begin.
neutral auction house in
Fair
the Goblin
skies
City
and
Gifting Sites. Auctioneers exist within these auction houses and allow you to buy or sell items without having to go through the trade channel. There are now auction houses in pretty much every major city, and even in your garrison.
It's good to see an
Plus,
old friend.
they're all connected now.
It's an honor.
That
to
was not
serve
the
by
case in
your
vanilla.
side once again.
Honor points. As you kill opposing
Talon
players
Deimos will
and
be my
special
second in command for
PvP-enabled non-player characters, you will earn honor points. You also gain honor points for conquering contested battlegrounds and slaying important NPCs, such as leaders and generals of the opposing faction. At the end of each day, these honor points will be distributed to all players who participated in PvP gameplay, with players contributing the most kills for their side earning the most points. These honor points accumulate to give you a PvP rank, which can fluctuate based on your participation and success in PvP play. Honor points basically work this way in vanilla, and were later.
How are y'all doing today, my friends? I just got done watching this Chris Chan video that we're about to watch again right now, and let me just tell you something. Something about Chris just seems off in this video. I mean, most of the times you can't really tell what you're gonna get when you click on a Chris video, but he just seems so, like, depressed, or maybe just exhausted in this one. I can't even really sum it up. He also has, like, this 1,000-mile stare in his eyes that at some points gets really crazy. As he does in every video, Chris touches on just about every topic that's important to him at the current moment. The convention that he went to with Flutter, which I was shocked that he brought up, but he barely went into detail with it. He brings up the trolls, he brings up My Little Pony Season 4, he brings up the fact that people that he likes need to stop blocking him on Twitter. Oh, and in case you forgot, he also brings up about like 7 times how he's Jesus Christ himself. But before we get into this one today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. When Chris Chan was in jail, if you were following this story around that time, what did you think was going to happen when he got out? I know many people thought he was going to end up homeless. I know myself, I thought some random meme was going to take him in, basically take control over his life, kind of monetize it like a fish tank situation. You know, but I wasn't far off considering the situation we've now seen ourselves in. But I don't think anyone expected him to have this possible long-distance girlfriend he's been traveling to anime conventions and all this stuff with. It's been a pretty weird couple of months for Chris. But the end of 2023 definitely didn't shape out like I think a lot of people thought it would have. So, yeah, just let me know in the comments what you guys thought was going to happen. And with all that being said, let's jump right into it. And as I told y'all before, you'll notice from the jump, Chris's demeanor is not like his prepare for lucid, make it stupid demeanor. It's a very toned down Chris Chan.
Greetings, everyone. This is Chris Chan Sanchi Prime here once again, focused and connected with everything. And I will start off with mentioning, of course, the Animate Rally Convention. Flutter and I, we did attend the Friday. We were going to attend the Saturday. We were intercepted because, like the Romans, days were slow. All species were born and they were talking about ratting me out to organize for the convention, which that entity was quite wrong indeed. And as you all note, as I have exemplified during the event, I continue to love and keep my calm. I did try to explain, and yet...
Grab these supplies, if you need them.
At the moment, the demons were too great in that
prize.
event organizer. And I feel sorry for that individual and their accomplices that were with them at the time. And despite the efforts of the minority, we did still have a very good weekend. And I was one of the sons. So you mentioned that, I think about that as well. Outside of all all those that dare do repeat history in the dark ways by following that of the demons and devils, and even Satan himself in the temptations and darkness, and try to flood me, they all shall be thwarted shortly enough. It is the divine will, along with that of Russia being a modern day Babylon, to fall as Babylon did, and Vladimir Putin dying by his own sword, and everything coming to fruition to where I have risen before, and I have many times risen in this lifetime as well.
Dear God, I mean, he's clearly trying to make it seem like he's going into some type of trance. But I mean, this constant look in Chris's eyes makes you think that he's seeing some shit on the other side of that camera. And he just may well be, because you hear all those, like, scraping noises, or what maybe you would assume would be like a broom sweeping stuff up. Yeah, I hear that too. I don't know what that is on the other side of the camera, but it's not Chris, because as far as I can tell, he's sitting there completely still. So unless his feet are spinning around down there, which is entirely possible, because you remember he said that story before about how he drank so much soda that his leg would shake. It would shake so loud that it would shake the house. How much soda do you have to drink? I genuinely want to know. Nonetheless, we saw those pictures of Chris's shopping cart at Walmart a few months back. Didn't look like he had any soda in there, and it seems like he tries to drink a lot of water. Just gonna give Chris benefit of the doubt on this one. But yeah, I don't know what those sounds are, but it does get pretty distracting, I'm not gonna lie. Chris seems to be looking at things off camera too the whole time he's saying this, and I mean, it seems like one long, like, convoluted spiel he's going on. I don't think he's written this down or anything. I think he's just going off of his own, going off the dome there. But if he is, and even if he has this written down, it's just such an unhinged, like, series of things to say. He starts out by talking about how Kid and Flutter went to that convention. Now on Friday it was fine. On Saturday, intercepted by the managers, who he even goes on and says had like a demon inside him. So, I mean, of course, Chris looks at this as like some grave offense to these gods and goddesses, you know, like he just broke a cardinal sin by not allowing this god you see on screen to go and have a day inside the anime convention, you know? And to be fair, Chris was probably only banned because of the amount of phone calls they got once people realized Chris was there, or other anime goers saying how weirded out they felt just being around Chris. But regardless, he and Flutter were not allowed back into the convention. And again, Chris turns this into like some biblical thing where he's trying to say, this is just how I was portrayed back in the day. He always takes this now. He's absolutely extreme. Chris is always really like things up. You know, like him saying that the axe was not meant to be used by the gay population. Like, why was that a thing that mattered? You know, the Sonic's blue arms things? Like, why? Well, why did that matter? Because it mattered to Chris, and so does all this like weird Jesus mumbo jumbo. And he's gonna continue with it, and he's gonna try to use it to justify any like wrong that people commit upon him by saying that they're doing this to a god. They need to watch out for themselves. He's basically threatening them, but he doesn't really have nothing to hold as leverage, so he just says, well, I'm God, so you better do it, or else you're gonna, I guess, get smited or something.
Whether you all know it or not, with all the timeline shifts, the cosmic events, and everything. And all that you know, open your minds and meditate and actually connected. But not every one of you all didn't. Not every one of y'all did. Which is a shame, really, because when I was Jesus Christ back in Jerusalem one day one time, I had to shit records as well way back then. But I continued to sympathize what I could with what was right, and yet was chronicled of me in prophecy, and then as such within the Holy Bible. And later on, in the later book, which was, this escaping my consciousness or
kill.
The other book. He claims to be this all-knowing God, but he always tries to fall back on, some things, I don't know. I mean, it's most of things that Chris doesn't know in these situations. He can't even name what book he's meant to be, represented in. I don't know it either, but I'm not out here claiming to be Jesus Christ.
But it still goes in all the conventions that all religions are good, except for those that have anything to do with the darkness and Satanism.
So, there's even
so
more
forth.
Azerite to be
The
had.
correct religions
Follow
are
your
those that are
map
good,
and
like
lock
heart
up.
and righteous, between Christianity, Mormons, Judaism, the sin,
Grab
zodiacal
these
animals,
supplies
and all that.
if you need them.
And all guys
But don't
and
lose
all
sight
gods
of
and
the
goddesses
Banshee
have
Queen's
existed.
prize.
They all worked under me, as well as Emmanuel, and worked under that which is above us, of which I am directly connected with, the Alpha and Omega point of all existence, that exists at the beginning and end of this timeline and all timelines.
So in this clip, Chris goes on to say how every religion is right, and then goes on to list all the correct religions, like Christianity, Judaism, Mormons, sociological animals. I don't know what that one was about, but it's definitely something Sonichi related. It absolutely has to be. I pray to God it is. And no, I'm not talking about the God we keep seeing on screen every couple of minutes. I'm talking about the real God up there in the sky. The one that's probably got to be shaking his head at Chris right now, just throwing his name around the mud like that. Chris talks about how all the gods and goddesses are real, and then just goes on to mention that they're all kind of under him though, which means that Chris is the head honcho of gods. He's the Don of the Godverse. He's the shot caller. And Chris, all these other gods and goddesses, they answer to him. Poseidon, Chris has got him by a leash.
That place was
This
our
timeline
prison
being the
for
one prime timeline
10,000
of which
years.
were all other
It's time
timelines
we made it our
exist
home.
of. And I am the one avatar of all existence.
Keep your head down.
Talons to the skies.
So definitely be careful what you wish for. Because what you should be wishing for is that which is good. For if you leave your wishes unwarranted, the trauma can continue. Even by that which may have come unto unwarranted in recent days. Of which I do apologize for, but hey, all of us, artists, creators, chroniclers, other dimensional and universe and timeline explorers that we have explored and done innately in our writings, in our drawings, in our music, in all our various media. Welcome to our world, and the drama from the midst fandoms, which include the minority that are the worst of the toxic, evilest, darkest sinning individuals. They are going to converge upon you anyway, whether or not I had commented on that, which does not exist in this timeline by Little Pony Generation 5. Make your mark, tell your tale. A new generation movie. There is still time to shelve all that, Hasbro, and get rid of it, because as long as they remain, further developments, which are bad for this timeline, shall continue. Once G4, Friendship is Magic, and Equestria Girls are fully resumed, and Friendship is Magic continues on to the end of its 14th televised animated season, animated as it was before anything having to do with pony life. Money really corrupted the business people. It has corrupted the arts, and that has been exemplified in the G5 media, which was re-released prematurely, as I have foreknown and foretold. As everyone else have been bared, understood, and observation of. Help in making sure that we are good in this timeline, in this our prime universe. As the dimension merge does complete, and the ultimate miracle manifests so.
So Chris goes over like so many things right there in rapid fire order. He starts by bringing up the fact that all these like creators and chroniclers and content creators and artists like him, of course, you know, they're the ones who create the universe and all that. He's basically just trying again to make what he does seem so like just so godly, even though it's just him drawing his comic books most of the time. But he looks at people who are actual creators like on Twitter and all as these huge like figureheads of something just because it's the people he looks up to. These are just random people who voice movies, TV shows, and maybe even just talk about them on YouTube. Chris looks at these people as his peers because he thinks, well, in his head he's raised Sonichi his whole life, so he's kind of the same thing as them. After that, he goes into the fact that when people get attacked for things on Twitter, they need to just deal with it, even if Chris was probably the cause of it. And that may confuse you, because it's not directly what Chris said, but it's what he meant. Because there was this like other pony creator, they put up a poll or something on Twitter, and Chris Chan decided to respond to it. And they got upset and said, well, you know, now that Chris responded to it, I can imagine all these responses are going to be garbage. And Chris's response to that is, of course, to say, just ignore it. Ignore the hundreds, maybe even thousands of comments you'll get, all regarded to how much of a sicko I am, because that's the price of allowing me to comment on your stuff. I genuinely understand where Chris is coming from with this. He believes because he's not the one going out of his way to be mean, and that it's all these other people, that people shouldn't cast him aside because of it. However, at this point, people just don't want to deal with anything related to Chris because they know the drama that will come with it. And he thinks still at this point, there's a chance that he can just tell people to stop and ignore all these people like Chris tries to do, so that Chris and them can build a friendship that these people most likely don't even want to have. And then Chris just goes into more Jesus jargon.
It is right. It is good. And I'll also note, there is no reason to block me on social media, because even if you do, you're still going to